Alrighty again, folks. Hello there. This is Alan recording another comprehensive Magic of the Gathering Arena Draft video, and it's time for us to kickstart another Premier Draft Crimson Vow for the New Year's. So let's go at it. Might be able to make Mythic in this video, not sure. But overall, I can't wait until Neon Dynasty, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, since we're going to have a couple more weeks to play the set. But I believe Double Feature will arrive in like a couple of weeks as well, so maybe that will mix up and change the format up a bit. I'm not sure how the meta will play out. I feel like black will definitely be the best color since it was great in both sets. Blue was definitely nerfed in Crimson Vow, but it's still a fine color. Red got a lot more powerful, and it was also one of the worst colors in Crimson in Midnight Hunt, but it wasn't like totally unplayable. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think green is still going to be the worst color. So I think the color ratings for the next double feature, if I'm guessing, would be black as the best color. And then white, blue, and red are kind of like in the middle, I think, with maybe white having a slight edge since white is powerful in both sets. And then green probably the worst color since in Innistrad Midnight Hunt, there was only 2 good green commons, and then in this set, the commons are good, but there's just too much interaction that deals with expensive creatures, kind of like the last set. So if you look at the greens commons compared to, like, for example, blues, like, they definitely look more strong, and cards that you're always happy to play. But again, given the amount of cheap interaction in this set, it feels bad to tap out your large creature just for it to get removed by a 2-mana or 3-mana spell. Almost. But anyways, yeah, green did improve in this format compared to Midnight Hunt, and werewolves are actually a good archetype. So they did change things up a bit. But let's see, what do we have the fine pleasure of opening? So this set's known for its bomb rares, given that it's a heavy Prince format, probably the most severe Prince format we've had so far. A pretty unexciting rare, so it's not going to be my first pick. We have some good uncommons in the respective archetypes. Whispering Wizard is good in blue-red and blue-white. I mean, I guess you'll just play this in any blue deck. Outside of that, I'm not a big fan of this in blue-green since it's mostly based on creatures. Purifier for the black-white life gain deck. Child of the Pack for the red-green werewolves deck. But we're probably just going to take the best common in this pack, and probably one of the best commons overall in the set. Either first or second. I think we're just going to take a break to stay open, since this format does reward you for staying open. Unlike the previous one, you could just take, like, for example, like a bunch of commons, Organ Hoarder, and Diregraph Horde, Ecstatic Awakeners, or some black removal spells over some of the more powerful uncommons and rares. But yeah, we'll take a break here, keep ourselves flexible, and a lot of the red archetypes are very strong. Red-blue, red-green, red-white even. Right, so interesting option. We do have a Concealing Curtains. It's a pretty strong rare. Yeah, this could just be the pick, since I think I want to lean towards red-black the most, given that it's the best archetype. We could move into blue-red with Diverscob, which is also great. If we pick up some cheap exploit creatures like Voldaren Epicures and Lantern Bear, this is awesome. Runebound Wolf is only really playable in the red-green deck, but I wouldn't list it as a higher power level than these 2 other cards. And then at common, there's really nothing I'm too excited about that makes me want to stay mono-red here. Wedding Invitation is good, but we would need to be in black-red to really make this at its best. So I'm down to just try out the Concealing Curtain. This could be a sign that maybe black is open, and this is a pretty strong rare. So they probably took another uncommon out of this pack, fair enough. So we'll try Concealing Curtain. The second pick would be Diverscob, maybe lean towards blue-red, but just kind of trying to take the risk to draft the best 2 colors in this format. Alright, I guess maybe we can move into potentially blue-black or red-blue with Biloom Egg as the best card. Could also just take a Diregraph Scavenger just to stay on color. If you don't have ways to exploit the Biloom Egg, it can be kind of awkward. If we knew we have enough vampires, could consider Markov Retribution. So most 2 of these cards are not very flexible, but pretty powerful. Wolf Strike also quite good, but I would still maybe take the rest of these other 3 cards over Wolf Strike. I think I'm fine maybe just taking the Diregraph Scavenger just to stay open, and I think this could be easily the second or third best black common in the format. Biloom Egg is probably the most powerful card, but I still want to stay open here and just take the Diagraph Scavenger, and then we'll see which archetype is open for us. Okay, maybe just take Falconraft Celebrants. This looks like the best common in this pack. Other good cards include Heron of Hope. Haven't been too impressed with the Lamphold Raconteur. I think it's only really good in the blue-red deck, honestly. And if you end up red-green, you rather have the Hookhand Mariners instead. And yeah, there's no reason to stay single color since this is easily the best card in the pack, and also another way to generate blood in the black-red deck. As well as being a good curve topper, so love seeing this pick 4. Hopefully we can wheel a Wedding Invitation, but I'm not going to take a lower Falconraft Celebrants. Alright, does a late Thirst, but we can maybe just take another Scavenger here. Like, this could be a sign that, again, blue is open. Cultivar Colossus, I don't think is a bomb. You really need, like, multiple Weaver Blossoms. It kind of falls in the same trap as the Brambleworm in this format. You need a lot of ramp to really make this effective. I'll probably just take another Scavenger just to stay on color, and I think it's a higher power level than Bloodpetal Celebrant. There's also Thirst or Discovery, which is great, but we'll take a Scavenger and just keep staying open. Okay, maybe just take another Celebrant. Wow, another Lunar Rejection and Brambleworm and Weaver Blossom, so it seems like maybe Simic is very open, but if Falconraft Celebrant is still at the table, I think I just have to take it here. And we'll see which color we might have to abandon if it keeps staying open and one of our colors get cut off. But yeah, I'm not going to pass up a Celebrants here. And then maybe now we can consider maybe either Hookhand Mariner or Archschool of Thraben as our options. Personally, I like red-green more than blue-black. Archschool would keep us open, and we do have a couple of zombies to go for it. So, I mean, I guess there's an argument for just taking Archschool and staying the course. This is going to be as best in blue-black, but I guess we can still play it in black-red, just as a random 3-drop that can maybe surveil when it dies. So sure, we'll try this, but this feels more like a blue-black gold card. Otherwise, if we had to stick to color pair, I might take the Hookhand Mariner just to be in red-green, which I think is better than blue-black. But luckily enough, there's a pretty late Voldaren Epic here. Pretty nice creature you can exploit if you pick up with any blue or black exploit creatures at common or uncommon. Also late Spore Crawler, but I would maybe still take the red cards over Spore Crawler since it's just it's a fine green common, but nothing exciting. Just take the Epic here. And then, yeah, we could maybe just take Belligerent Guest as our Vampire on turn 3. Some other multicolor cards in this pack. Markov Purifier. Blood Fountain is okay, but we can always pick up one later, and it does get kind of clunky. Let's just take Belligerent Guest, maybe stick with our Vampire theme. And it's a fine 3-drop, and then maybe we can take a Wedding Invitation now. I think this is a secret hidden top common in this format. Also colorless over the Pointed Discussion. Since we're going to be focused on vampires, just having this cantrip make a vampire unblockable and lifelink is really powerful. So I'm going to take this over Pointed Discussion. And then, wow, pretty late Biolume Egg. I'll probably take the Biolume Egg here in case we need to pivot, and then hopefully we can pick up some exploit creatures to go along with this if we need to move out of black or red. So we'll take it here. And then we'll take another second Wedding Invitation, why not? And wow, pretty late Thirst for Discovery. Okay, so no respect for blue, so definitely the Esper colors could be open. I'm a bigger fan of blue-red than blue-black, but you know, sometimes you do get the nutty blue-black exploit deck. But for the most part, I'm more impressed by blue-red, given that they have a lot more powerful cards that synergize very well. But again, we'll see. This draft is kind of awkward, seeing these late powerful blue uncommons from my right-hand side. Even a Grizzly Ritual, so I don't know what the person to my right is drafting anymore. As we open up Edgar Markov, so if we end up black-red still, we can end up splashing Edgar, and he's just perfect. I think he's definitely one of the best rares in this format, and definitely a slam-dunk first pick. And yeah, it does play pretty well if we have a high density of vampires. So it's going to be my pick here. Other good cards include Paxton Pup, Markov Purifier, Evolving Wilds. Hopefully we can table this. But yeah, we'll take Edgar Markov here. But it seems like we can kind of rule out white, given that we barely saw any good white cards in the previous pack. Saw a good combination of black, red, blue, and green, funny enough. So not sure what the person from my right-hand side is drafting, but I definitely know he or she is in white. We're still going to try to potentially splash Edgar if we end up black-red vampires, given how powerful he is. And now what? Nothing exciting. Some good decent white removal spells. There's a Gift of Fangs, which is okay. Could just maybe take a Gift of Fangs, could take another Belligerent Guest. Don't really want too many copies of Grisly Ritual. I don't think I want to draft white, even though I just took Edgar right now, and even then, Edgar, there's not too many white vampires in this format unless you're kind of black-white. So I'm going to be planning to splash Edgar instead. So which card do I take here? I think I just take another Belligerent Guest, potentially. There's an argument for taking Gift of Fangs, because it's also good with vampires. But I do want to make sure I have enough vampires to really leverage Edgar, so don't mind just taking a Belligerent Guest here. But Gift of Fangs would also be fine. Can serve as a cheap removal spell in the early game or to enhance one of your early vampires. But I'll try Guest here. And then here, another interesting pack. I don't think Investigator's Journal is that great. There's a Foreboding statue I can maybe take here, and that can maybe make it easier to splash Edgar. We also have two 5-drops here with Falkenrath Celebrants, so this would still keep me the most open and still a fine card. Also to note, there's a Wandering Mind in this pack, so maybe blue-red is open. But I'm just going to take Foreboding statue here and, again, keep the black-red Dream alive. But it does seem like maybe black is a more cut-off color, since we didn't see any good black commons outside of Scavengers. So maybe we just need to move into blue-red, but I'm still going to take Foreboding Statue just in case. Okay, wow, Socialite and Wandering Mind in the same pack. Darn, I think it's just the Socialite. I mean, there's also Evolving Wilds per se, but this is just a better card. I think we can still afford to maybe end up in red-black, even if I know blue-red is the more open color at the pod, seeing another Wandering Mind getting passed to me. And then I'm fine just taking a Bloodcrazed Socialite here. Could also just take another Voldaren Epic here to stay win red. But by taking this black common here, it does kind of solidify me, so I think I'll take it over the Evolving Wilds. And there's a chance we can get an Epic here if red is open, which we see it is. Now I'll take a Flame Blessable, pick 5, perfect. One of the best commons in the set. So I'm hoping we can end up black-red splashing white. And we don't, again, have to be too heavy black. Just take as many good black cards as we can, and then just try to make this work. Although that's a late Storm Chaser Drake, but probably just take Epic here. Storm Chaser Drake is best in blue-white. If you don't have any ways to target with Ancestral Angers, which we barely saw any, it isn't great. With double Scavenger already on turn 4, not really feeling like I need another one. Just going to take another Voldaren Epic here since it can just generate a blood token. But yeah, Scavenger is probably another good card in this pack. But just make sure I have enough Epic Here's. And then can maybe take an Impulse, not really a Werewolf deck. And also, we're not really blue-red with Racketeer, and even then, I'd rather just take a Reckless Impulse. And then, okay, we could just take another Belligerent Guest here. Like, we don't really need to play Archghoul. Like, it's fine with the Scavenger, but we're really mostly a focused Vampires deck. I guess I could even take the Dual Land, never mind. Forgot that we could splash Edgar for a moment there. We even passed some Evolving Wilds for Bloodcrazed Socialite in the pack. Yeah, Sundown Show Pass will improve Edgar. I think it has to be the pick. And then we'll just take a Lacerate Flesh in case we need some sort of removal. And yeah, we can still make blue, black, red work. I don't think I need a second one. Maybe if we still end up blue-red Chill is a fine common to have. And then, wow, late Wandering Mind. Okay, I guess I take Wandering Mind. And wow, another Wandering Mind. Do we just pivot? I hate having to do this, but we might just have to pivot here. Like, we just got past two Wandering Minds in a row, but maybe I still keep the black-red option open, and then just put the blue-red cards here. But yeah, double Wandering Mind is insane. We don't have any Exploit creatures yet, but we also have a Bat, which could be fine with some life gain synergies. And then we'll just take an Alluring Suitor, although there's another Abrade. The Alluring Suitor is a good 3-drop vampire, but we have enough 3-drop vampires already. In terms of power level, I think they're both close, but I still think we need to take a Abrade here, given that we could use more cheap interaction. And hopefully we can get some other good cards. Let's just take a Abrade. Okay, yeah, we'll take Desecrator. So yeah, I guess we made the person to our right-hand side maybe give up on blue. I mean, draft blue now since we've cut off black heavily. And yeah, Desecrator is a bomb. All right, I think I'm committed now. So sometimes you just have to be really stubborn and try to force your archetype, even though you know it's getting kind of cut off. And this is a really nice curve topper. Yeah, this is a gift. We're definitely going to take this Desecrator here. And then, do I want another Epic Falconraft Celebrants or Ragged Recluse? I think in terms of power level, the Falconraft Celebrants is a lot stronger. Um, I do need some 2s, but I have a feeling that we're going to get 2s later, and we have some early interaction to play in the early game. I think I'm fine just taking a Falconraft Celebrants now. And yeah, we'll just take another Epic here, or just take a Gluttonous Guest. I guess I don't hate a Gluttonous Guest. We don't really have that much stuff to exploit in this red-black deck, so these do tend to lose out on value. So I think I'd rather have a good blocker, and then we'll just pass all the blue cards. Or it's funny enough, I'm getting past this blue card, so I know the person to my right is white, but I don't know what else he's drafting. Maybe white-green, or Redding Flame, one of the best red uncommons. Gonna snatch it up here. And wow, Bleed Dry, pick 6, that was a gift. Also late Diver's Cup, so wow, blue-red is very open, but so is black. So I'm assuming the person to my right just moved into white-green, and that's totally fine. I actually don't mind that. So this seems great. And then I don't mind Leash School since we don't have any 2-drops. And we do have some Voldaren Epicures to sacrifice, so this could be reasonable as a 2-drop in case we need one, but we'll see. Also, Auto Ragged Recluse is just probably just better, so going to take it here instead. Alright, and then I actually don't hate Foreboding Statue helping us ramp into turn 5, and wow, Alluring Suitor pick 3, okay. I don't know if we need 3 copies of Belligerent Guest anymore, but Alluring Suitor is great. Can even cut 1 Epicure. It doesn't make a blood pretty early for the Ragged Recluse, so I don't hate it. But we're almost full on playables, so we just need to make a couple of cuts. Don't know if I need this Impulse, even though it does dig us pretty deep. We do have Wedding Invite to go along with it, and we're definitely in black-red for sure. I'm definitely going to splash Edgar, given how powerful he is in this type of deck. So let's see, let's just put all the weaker cards. I think I need these early game. Could just cut 1 Epicure, but I do like, again, the fact that it generates blood. Maybe triple Belligerent Guess isn't necessary. Or we can take out a Diagraph Scavenger, funny enough. It is a good black common, but maybe we just need more vampires. So I can kind of keep this as maybe the basis of our deck, kind of, and then see what the final 4 cards could be. So yeah, this was a pretty nice draft, even though I knew like maybe black was kind of cut off. Still made it happen. So now what? So we definitely want to play all the top end. The 4s are all looking good. I like the statue ramping us into our 5 and 6 drops. Belligerent Guest maybe is one of our more weaker vampires, and I do like Gluttonous Guest over it. And these 3, I need a 2-drop, so Ragged Recluse is fine. And then Concealing Curtain is a decent blocker we can play early, and then in the late game we can also transform it. It becomes a menacing creature that can make the opponent discard cards, so I don't hate this card. And then these are our interaction spells, which are pretty good. So overall, I think this is the basis. Maybe I just move up Epic here. Maybe this is kind of the basis that we're looking for, and I definitely want to play 17 lands with this configuration. Could maybe go down the plains, perhaps, since we have some fixing already. So then maybe we can kind of have at least 8 red and 8 black currently. Okay, so this definitely is the basis that we want. So what do we want in this deck? Could always do just 1 of each if we're not sure what we want to do. With triple Falconraft Celebrants, I do like multiple Wedding Invites. And again, we don't have much card advantage, so I could see myself throwing in a copy here. The Belligerent Guest does get better with Edgar, so I actually don't mind a copy as well. Same with like the Voldaren Epicures, so could just also throw in a copy. Could also see the case for throwing Leash School in, just to have another turn 2 play. And it seems could just be better than the Belligerent Guest, since it's a 2-2 and this is a 3-2 that tends to trade down more often than not. I mean, if maybe we don't need it actually, because again, I've had the argument that we have enough removal, so we could just fill the turn 2 with either a bunch of 1-drops or Wedding Invite, which I don't mind. So maybe I just play 2 copies of Wedding Invitation, and then I don't know if I need another Voldaren Epicure, because we don't really have any exploit to go along with it. Maybe you could see the case with double Diagraph Scavenger. on turn 4. I mean, I could maybe see myself maybe playing it just one copy here. The question is, what type of deck is this? It seems like a more mid-rangey sort of deck. It's not like hyper aggro, but it's just trying to get to the turn 5 and turn 6 to help close out the game. Maybe drop Edgar um, to pump our team, and that can help us close out as well. So probably don't need the double Reckless Impulse if we're playing Wedding Invitation. So just 2 more additions. We could just throw in both the Vampires, and we should be fine, maybe. Or maybe just throw in 1 Voldaren Epicure, 1 Belligerent Guest, and call it. And I definitely want to play all my removal. Don't think I need Lacerate Flesh or Grisly Ritual because they're just too expensive, and then we already have a really good curve. Yeah, I could just take another Voldaren Epicure over Mind Leech Ghoul. I mean, I could just play Epicure and then play the Mind Leech Ghoul so we can have something to exploit with it. But I don't think the effect is that amazing, to be honest. You trade a card for a card, and that's about it. How much life gain do we have for Courier Bat? We do have Scavenger, maybe. Gluttonous Guest, maybe. Ragged Recluse, maybe. But it's not really that consistent for us to generate life. I guess we have Wedding Invitation in this deck that can help too. So there's an argument for Courier Bat. So Courier Bat, Diregraph Scavenger, Belligerent Guest, and Voldaren Epicures are kind of the 4 options I want to maybe consider with this configuration. I do like the Ragged Recluse, again, just very good with blood tokens. The Belligerent Guest maybe is not that great since it does need to connect to generate a blood, so it can be kind of awkward at times. So I can see maybe ruling this out. I don't really have anything to exploit with this, so again, it's kind of awkward. This is rough. Don't know what to do with our final choices. It kind of feels weird having to cut these Wedding Invitations too if we're going to go for this sort of approach. But maybe we just have to just so we can fit in more creatures. So again, how good is the Courier Bat? 1. I mean, this is going to cast at least like 7 mana to play this and then the Courier Bat, so it can be kind of awkward. We need to have this and to sacrifice a blood. This also needs to transform, so maybe Courier Bat isn't that great. So I can maybe rule that out. So now what? Maybe we're fine just with another Scavenger since it's just a really good black common. Maybe this just throw in 1 Wedding Invitation, and then the final choice can be maybe 1 Voldaren Epicure, 1 Belligerent Guest to just round things up so we have enough creatures in this deck, which we already do, but I do need to make sure I don't have too many non-creature spells. So maybe something like this seems good. Could also maybe just cut in Epicure for Wedding Invitation, actually. I mean, like, the more Wedding Invitations that we have, the more the Belligerent Guest can actually connect to. So in the sense, that also just generates a blood for the Ragged Recluse regardless. But I just like the fact that this is so cheap. Maybe I do have to play the double Wedding Invites. And then maybe an Epicure can go. And that's totally fine. Because again, we just want to make our Belligerent Guests unblockable to generate blood tokens, and we should be okay. Don't know if we need to cut the Concealing Curtain, but it's a lot more powerful than Voldaren Epicure, I have to imagine. So maybe something like this. Impulse is good, but with all these expensive 5-drops, it can be, again, kind of awkward. So maybe we're just fine with this configuration, and we should be okay. Yeah, sure, maybe this is a fine deck. There's an argument for Scavenger for a 3rd Belligerent Guest. Probably not. With double Belligerent Guest, we should be fine. And then, you know, I do like Epicure, but it's just so weak in terms of stats and power level compared to everything else that we have as options, and we don't have any exploit creatures in black to really take a hold of this outside of Mind Leech School. That I don't really care too much of having 2 copies of this, even though it would curve nicely into Ragged Recluse. So let's just give this a shot, I think. And I think I'm fine just playing 1 Plains and 1 Showdown Pass, since we have Foreboding Statue, which can potentially help us ramp. And then we are slightly favoring red, but we just want to keep it even split, I think, so 8 red sources, 8 black sources seems good. Let's try it out, see how it goes. Vampires. And then Edgar is our poster child. Let's try this out. There's an argument for cutting the Ragged Recluse too, and just place the other Voldaren Epic here. Because I know Ragged Recluse is a decent 2-drop, but it's not a vampire, and we're probably gonna have to mulligan this hand given that we have no red mana. So I think I'd rather keep this hand, and then which card do I keep? Bottom, maybe the Diregraph Scavenger, since we want vampires that can generate blood, and it's clunky on 4. I could also see cutting the Falconwrath Celebrant since we have 3 copies and we're bound to draw into 1, and it's the most expensive card. So maybe like this, and hope we can hit our land drops. So blue-black exploits, a pretty grindy, value-oriented deck, but it does take, the engine is slow, so it does require a little bit more work and setup to really get going. Alright, when we drew a Celebrants anyway, so happy that I bottomed the one in our opening hand. So probably going to leave with the Belligerent Guest and hopefully we get a 4th land to curve out with. Since Bloodcrave Socialite with the Falconwrath Celebrants is quite powerful. Don't need to worry about this unless he starts making a ton of blood. Usually black-red is the one that cares about making blood. Blue-black doesn't make a ton of blood too much. So we'll play the Belligerent Guest. We can even offer to trade with the Bloodcaster or Flame Blessed Bolt this. Regardless, this will still trample over and make a blood, so we could save this for maybe a card that we're interested in exiling, which could just be the Bloodcaster itself, to be honest, since he has a Blood Fountain here. So Mindleash School, probably using this to just hold off the 3-2. So if I don't get a land here, I might just Flame Blessed Bolt the Voldaren Bloodcaster, and then attack, and then play out the Voldaren Epicure. Or maybe discard the Voldaren Epicure since we need to hit our land drop. I think I'm down to Blessed Bolt the 2-1 first, so if he decides to trade, he doesn't make a blood token. Hopefully he doesn't have Cradle Safety. And then I'm probably just fine attacking, and then I think we discard the Epicure and try to hit our 4th land. And I'll probably do it now. Probably keep up single black since we do have a Concealing Curtain in this deck. So I just want to hit my lands, and this is the weakest card in our pile currently. Alright, we got our land, so not bad. Can even exile the Mindleash School or some other creature potentially. Opponent passes the turn, so you could have a counter spell here. So what card do we not want to... Are we fine getting countered? Maybe the Diregraph Scavenger? I guess if I play the Scavenger, he can just sack the Blood Fountain in response to get the Mindleash School, so maybe that's not the right play. Maybe I just need to play into the counter spell by playing the Socialite in hopes he doesn't have one. But I guess he allows it to resolve, so he could just have a removal spell end of turn, we'll see. I highly doubt he's going to use the Blood Fountain just to get back a Mindleash School. And then if he puts more creatures in the yard, we can maybe exile one that's important. We can even abrade the Blood Fountain, believe it or not, which I don't think is a bad idea. Biolume Egg, that's a good one. I can kill it though. He could have maybe a 1-mana bounce spell. Maybe I can kill it so he doesn't get to exploit next turn. But if I kill it, the problem is he's just going to get it back with the Blood Fountain. So maybe I actually want him to actively exploit this. And by actively exploiting this, the thing is he can't really get it back. I could also just abrade the Blood Fountain, to be honest. I could also just play Scavenger here. I do want to play Scavenger to maybe exile the egg, but I feel like I want a turn where he just kills the Biolume Egg, and then I can kill the Blood Fountain so he doesn't get anything back. So maybe it's better to just play on curve regardless, and take it from there. And I'm fine using a blood token here since I will eventually maybe get to my 5th land for Celebrants. So let's go for it. 5 is a lot of damage. He might have a 1-mana bounce trick, so he might still have an Alchemist Retrieval here. So gotta be a little bit careful. And then I just want to maybe exile, maybe Doom to center, since it's good exploit fodder. Or the Mind Leash School, maybe that's worse, because he can target my hand, but he does have one in the graveyard already. So okay, he's probably going to exploit the Biolume Egg next turn. But maybe we can still get an attack with Wedding Invitation and then upgrade the Blood Fountain so he doesn't get to bring his stuff back. And there it is. Because that's definitely his plan is in the blue-black deck. He definitely wants to exploit and do all these sorts of shenanigans. Okay, so we probably just want to kill the Blood Fountain. If we get another land, I don't mind Rending Flaming the 4/4. And then kill the Blood Fountain here before he untaps with it and does a bunch of shenanigans. So I think what we want to do is just destroy this artifact. And then we can Rending Flame the 4/4, and I can offer the 3/3 as a trade, actually. Yeah, this 4/4 is annoying. I think we just Rending Flame this now. If he has 1 mana, bring a creature back, it's still going to come back as an egg, and I'm fine just attacking for 3, offering the 2-for-1 here. Or I don't need to attack, I can just wait until my Celebrants come out and maybe start attacking. But then he does have a good double block regardless under this, so I think I just stand here and offer the 2-for-1. This might thin out his deck because he might throw away the Wretched Throng, but that's fine. And he didn't have the Undying Malice, otherwise I think he would have used it when I tried to Rending Flame, so this is fine. And then next turn we can play Celebrants and maybe set up a Wedding Invite. So hopefully no second Blood Fountain, but we did slow him down considerably. Stitch Assistant, probably looking to exploit this. I'm probably going to keep the 2/3 back still. Don't really want to trade for the 3/2. Yeah, multiple Wretched Throngs, okay. I'm not really a big fan of having multiple copies. Like, just having a bunch of 2/1s in your library doesn't seem like where I want to be. And then this can help with Edgar if we find him somewhere in our library. So probably just say go here, and then we can use Wedding Invite to sneak an attack with the Celebrants potentially next turn. If he brings out a Rotar Gargantua, we just sacrifice a Scavenger, and that's totally fine. Ritual, that sucks. Alright, rip. Alright, so maybe we just need to find another creature off the top. I guess I can swing back for 2. I don't mind taking 3 here. For Boating Statue, yeah, let's just leave with the Wedding. And I think I'll still play the statue since it's a relevant creature later. Can now discard the Swamp. Gluttonous Guess isn't bad, but I'll still leave the Foreboding Statue since this allows us to start enhancing it over time until it becomes a 5/5. So the opponent doesn't really have anything scary. Scab, I guess he can bring back a removal spell now, like maybe a second Grisly Ritual to target either my Death Toucher or Foreboding Statue, but that should still be okay. So probably a Scarab Thoughts or the 6-mana removal spell here. So I'm hoping he just uses it on my statue or Diregraph Scavenger. So then he doesn't save it for something scarier. Probably fine taking 3 now and then use the 2/3 to hold off the 3/3. Cemetery Desecrator, so I don't want to play this into what he currently has. So I think the play here is just Gluttonous Guess and pass, and hope he uses the Grizzly Ritual on the Gluttonous Guest, and we should be fine. So we'll probably just say go here, and then hold on to this Desecrator and use it on something else. I'm hoping he just pulls the plug here, so then I can get this into the board ASAP. So, yep, I'm actually happy that he's doing this, so yeah, we'll let this resolve. And we can still block some of the creatures here too. Probably more interested in just blocking the 3/3 and just take 3 here. And we should be fine. And then end of turn we can activate the Foreboding Statue to put a counter onto it. Alright, another Stitch Assistant. So opponent has a pretty nice exploit deck. He might have 5 copies of Wretched Throng. Does he have it? I'm still going to just activate this now. So I could also just hold on to my Desecrator, but I think I'm fine playing it out since now I have Bleed Dry. So we'll play this and probably target the Repository Scob. So what do we want to exile from his graveyard? Maybe the Biloom Egg. And then we can get rid of the Repository Scob. And then say go. Next turn we could tap this and then transform into a 5/5, so we should be good for now. I hope he doesn't have a second Grizzly Ritual. But if he does, I can still kill another creature on the way back. And then he's also down to 11 cards, so he's on deck before me. With all this blood, he's bound to draw something, but we do have Bleed Dry to answer, maybe an opposing Dreadfeast Demon. But we are tapped out, so if the Dreadfeast Demon resolves, I mean, then I can't deal with it, potentially. Alright, rip. I tried. We still have Edgar Markov in his deck, so it's not over yet. I guess we want to exile maybe the Hero's Downfall now, and then, so he can't get it back. And then we can kill the Stitch Assistant. So just hold on to this Bleed Dry. And then we still have some other good cards in this deck, like a second Celebrance we could top deck into. Alright, let's just begin by discarding a land. Could maybe use a Foreboding Statue since we're going to transform it anyways. Ooh, Scavenger isn't bad. Alright, I guess we can just bring out the Scavenger then. Maybe this can bait out a counterspell. And then what do I want to get rid of here? Maybe the second Mind Leech Ghoul in case he brings it back, or Scob. Scob is pretty annoying. Especially if he can bring this back and then keep using this to mess with my graveyard. So now we can say go, and then this will become a 5/5 that can start attacking. And hopefully he doesn't get rid of my Bleed Dry. That's stuck in my hand. Diver Scob. Alright, I guess he might reset my Forsaken Thresher. And if that's the case, I think I'll put it in the bottom of my library. So that was a pretty nice top deck, but we still have the ground stalled. So we'll let this resolve. And then... yeah, we'll let this resolve, and then no, we're going to decline. We have some better stuff to add. So that was a really nice play there by the opponent. Guess isn't bad. Alright, guess is good. Unfortunately, I'm hoping he doesn't mess with my hand here since I do have a Bleed Dry, but we'll say go. Fine trading maybe Scavenger for the 3/5. And hope he doesn't drop a Dreadfeast Demon out of nowhere. But 6 cards left in the library. He might not have anything, hopefully. And if he does, the game plan is just to survive. think the blocks here and here makes sense if he decides to attack. I can then send in Belligerent Guess if he decides to block and still make a blood token, so I guess I can make the Belligerent Guess unblockable next turn, gain 3 life, and just make a blood, so I don't actually mind that. And again, the opponent's going to deck before me. He's like 12 cards ahead, funny enough. So he got all the good exploit cards, but but the exploit deck isn't like tier 1 deck. Like, you can see the issues with the exploit cards is that the commons are not necessarily great unless you can bring back your removal spells with the repository Scob. But a 3/2 is kind of underwhelming. There's also, I guess there's a Rotar Gargantua, which is fine, but the opponent might not have one in his deck. Maybe I can cut the Ragged Recluse for second Epic here. I just love having access to multiple blood. Even though we don't have that much exploit, I think it's much more important, perhaps. Maybe the opponent just ropes me here because he can't seem to win the game, potentially. Recluse is a better body, though, but again, just having more access to blood, I think it's key. And yeah, we can now discard red. Maybe should have tapped red to do so, but this is still fine, I think. And then probably just going to make the Guess unblockable, attack, and make a blood if I have nothing else to do. Ooh, Ragged Recluse isn't bad. Alright, let's do this. And then I think I'm fine getting in with the Belligerent Guest here. Just so we can make another blood next. We can use the blood next turn to maybe discard. And if he uses an interaction spell, at least we bait it out, so this is fine. Alright, I guess he has a cantrip anyways, that's fine. That's fine. So then I think he's looking to bomb the Scavenger, if I'm not mistaken. I think if he targets my Scavenger, I should be okay about the Odious Witch. I think it's fine declining and putting it into the bottom. It doesn't seem like that relevant of a creature, to be honest. And then we should be okay here, just blocking like this. And we still have a Bleed Dry in case we are afraid we might get run over. Yeah, we'll just say go. If he attacks with both, we can just block the 3/5, take 3, swing back for 3, make a blood. Which I don't mind, and I do want to save Bleed Dry for a potential, again, Dread Feast Demon or bomb that the opponent might have, which can be kind of scary. Maybe he's out of gas. Opponent's deck didn't look particularly impressive. Some fine commons, but it looks like he moved in all in on the exploit plan, and this is what happened. So, yeah, I'll just block here. We're fine taking 3. Guess can swing back and make a blood. Yeah. I mean, the Oldie Switch wasn't that bad in this draft, to be honest. It did become a 3/3. But, I mean, yeah, it did become a 3/3, so I guess it wasn't really that bad. So maybe I'm still fine just having 1 access to Epic here. It's not like we're lacking ways to generate blood in this deck. We should be fine. But I actually like the fact that the blood can actually prevent us from flooding and helping us move out our draws in the late game and prevent ourselves from drawing too many lands. So again, there's the argument of actually putting the second Epic here over Ragged Recluse. Like, we do have enough relevant buys that can block and trade off. So, yeah, maybe I'm fine ditching the Ragged Recluse, throwing in the Voldaren Epic here. So then we have access to an extra Vampire for Edgar, and then, yeah, it's also a way to make a zone. Let's try it. Alright, interesting hand. A bunch of awkward 5-drops. We won't be transforming a Luring Suitor, but we're on the play. I'll risk it. Just need to hit maybe one land off the top, so we gotta believe. And worst case scenario, we don't get any lands, but we still have access to a Braid. Steelclad Spear I could just kill now. It's a little bit annoying. Yeah, I think I will, since if I do get my 3rd land, I might want to be able to attack past this to maybe make a blood token. Yeah, at least we can maybe cantrip Wedding Inviting, draw land, perhaps. No land, okay. So, probably got punished here. But at least we're digging deep. Probably going to lead with the Belligerent Guest, I have to imagine. Since this might be better to transform later. Could see a counterspell. Alright. Leave with the Belligerent Guest since it's the card I least care about if it doesn't resolve. Probably see a Syncopate or Essence Capture here. Or Siphon Essence. Yep. At least he doesn't make a blood, at least. Skull Scomp, that's pretty scary, especially if he ends up exploiting a ton of stuff with it. He can just go wide, and that can be kind of crappy for us. And then, yeah, he's probably going to exile his own Mind Leech Ghoul. And then, which card do we want to remove from our hands? Probably need to get rid of a Celebrance, because it's just really expensive, and we might not. And we do have a second one. Yeah, I'm down to just get rid of this. All of our creatures can still block the rest of these as well. Doesn't feel great, but I think it's okay. And then, yeah, I guess we can just play Alluring Suitor now. And then if we get a land, we can play Edgar and hope he survives. Or we can maybe bait out a Bleed Dry with another card like Socialite, for example. So if he exploits again, I'm probably going to discard a Scavenger. Could see maybe a Bleed Dry here, which again, I'm fine with him using. But if he uses them, if he uses the Bleed Dries like immediately, he might have a second copy, so I might need to be a little bit more careful. Either way, if I get a land, I don't think I'm playing Edgar, because by playing Edgar, like, this still can't attack past the 2/2/2s. So I'm probably best keeping this back on defense and developing the Socialite instead, which could make some better attacks, potentially. Maybe opponent's considering a removal spell. Okay, Stitch Assistant. So he's probably going to sacrifice his own Stitch Assistance to make a zombie, I have to imagine. Alright, makes sense. So yeah, having to use my removal on this Steel-clad Spirit. I don't actually regret it though, because I eventually need to deal with it. But now the Skull Scalp gets to reap a bunch of value. So land, please. No land, but Rending Flame isn't bad. I think I just Rending Flame now. This card is kind of annoying, and I don't want him to untap and have some sort of counter spell as backup. And then this can hold off to 2/2s, and I should be fine. Yeah, we'll see go. Hate having to use a 5 mana, a 3 mana deal 5 on just a 2/2, but maybe I could have held on to it actually. So there was an argument for just holding on to it. But we still have the Scavenger, which can maybe block something potentially scary, but if he plays a flyer, that's going to be a problem. So maybe he shouldn't have done that too preemptively. Maybe had to wait until he had an exploit creature. Either way, I wouldn't have been able to deal with Edgar. And so do I play my own Edgar if he plays his Edgar here? I guess I have a Bleed Dry, but we have nothing. So I'll probably pass, take 4, and then I hope I eventually get a land to exile Edgar, and we should be okay. We can eventually gain back our life with the Luring Suitor, but we're just drawing too many expensive stuff and not enough lands. Funny how he's splashing this. This is mostly, I think it's okay in a deck that doesn't have vampires, but obviously it's busted in a deck with vampires. And it's kind of annoying if you don't have any ways to exile Edgar, because again, if you enchant this, he can just exploit it, and that's bad. Witness is a scary card too. Alright, no lands, so we're in trouble. Just gonna have to pass, take 7, and then take a beating in the air still, and hope I can stabilize with the life gain from Scavenger. But yeah, this is a bad draft example. Like, with the double Voldaren Epicures, we could have gotten early. At least we could have discarded some of these cards and hit our land drops. But now we can't, and the opponent drops a Wedding Announcement. Okay, I think I'm conceding. At this point, it's just I'm not hitting my lands, and the game doesn't like us, so there's not much I can do about that. Like, we're stuck on land 3 that whole entire game. Maybe we shouldn't have kept that hand. But we literally drew our 4 and 5s and 6 drops. So it's just variance. Three drop into 4 drop, and then we have all of our colors. We should have some earlier interaction because I don't want to pull this Bleed Dry, but I'm still going to keep it here. Can maybe abrade something on turn 2. If he plays a promising 3 drop here, I'm probably just going to braid it. But since the opponent is probably keeping a slow hand too, at least we can develop. Probably fine train this off, exiling the creature in his graveyard. I don't understand that. Yeah, nice. I think he forgot to realize this is a vampire, so that might just cost him the game. We'll see. Either way, I'm still attacking. And then could just play out Scavenger, but I think I'm going to leave up a Braid here. Yeah, I guess the opponent just threw away the game by giving me this. I mean, this is going to be rough to deal with. So he essentially is 2 for 1-ing himself. I could always exile this on the stack, but I don't really care if he kills my Belligerent Guesser. I think the Bleed Dry has a much more unique effect. So opponent 2 for 1s himself, that's okay. I still made a blood token out of it. And I still have some good follow-ups. then now maybe we can start discarding lands or using them for the Blood Craze or Socialite. So he kills my 5/4, but I proceed by making a 4/4. I should also be careful of potential sweepers. I could always also just abrade this, to be honest, but I don't have any good follow-ups. So I think I'm fine just attacking and then playing the Socialite. And then he can start gaining life a bit, but I should be okay. I can smash for 5. And then once I get my second land, I can abrade and double spell. So I think I'd rather just be mana efficient and say go. He might have Path to the Peril, Wedding Security, okay. If he isn't making blood, I don't really care about this card that much. He can still potentially set up a double block to trade, but that's fine. So opponent's going to gain 4 here, but we can swing for a lot more. So he's playing a double block if he's keeping this back. Rending Flame can maybe blow him out. I could attack first, and then if he double blocks Rending Flame and kill the 1/1 flyer. Although if I do that, I don't get to really hit in for a lot, so I think I just Rending Flame main phase. Save the Abrade for the Heron of Hope, and then just attack. And maybe this might force him back on defense. Since that's 9, and if he gains 4, I guess he can go up to 10. If he plays another creature, but if he don't, he's probably forced to stay back. Sorin, that's a pretty powerful bomb. Alright, so he still has a good double block.
No cost is too great.
But I still have good removal that can deal with this.
I bring my own army.
So now what? Probably take 3 here, abrade it next turn, and then don't think I'm discarding anything. So this deals with Planeswalkers too, so that's interesting to note. So I guess I could bleed dry this and kill him. No, that's not enough damage. Yeah, I think we need to lead with a Braid potentially here. And then he's probably gonna let Sorin go. Otherwise, I guess I can send 4 at Sorin and then attack him for 5. I think that makes the most sense. Otherwise, he gets to keep Sorin if I send both, since it's not lethal to kill him. So he might just double block the 4/4 and then lose both creatures, and then maybe keep Sorin around to maybe make another flyer. I guess that's his plan, which I'm fine with. And then maybe we should still be able to kill him, since the opponent's almost out of resources here. Alright, that's fine. If he plays another creature, I can just exile it and it's game over. Alright, that's fine. I think that's obviously just game over. And we were locked at 5 lands this whole entire game, funny enough. So yeah. Didn't even have to sack a blood. Alright, Epic Gear on turn 1, and then Wedding Invitation to hit my lands. Finally get to have Epic Gears in my opening hand. And hopefully this can allow us to hit our land 5 and land 6s. Fine with the block. Don't have a reason to keep the 1/1 around other than either chumping or since we don't have much to exploit. So this is fine, and I don't really want to discard any lands yet. So red-green. Don't really care about the Runebound Wolf, although it is going to be annoying later. But I might want to hold on to his removal for something else. But if I hold on to the removal with something else, yeah, I guess I don't need to kill this since the Scavenger can block it. So we'll just play the Epic here, maybe take 2. And then if he plays something scary like Paxton Pup, maybe then I'll pull the plug on the Braid. But for now, I think I'm fine having this around. It will potentially get scarier the more werewolves he plays. But if he doesn't have any, then we should be fine. Or if he doesn't have like a huge plethora, we should be okay. Weaver, Weaver is potentially scary as well. That will allow him to ramp if I let him untap. And he did, might have missed out on a land drop, I think. Well, the thing was we were on the play, so not sure if he necessarily missed out on a land drop. But maybe we're still fine using a Braid on the Weaver. It seems like a pretty decent target. Yeah, I don't really want him ramping to anything scary. Let's just kill it now. Attack for 1. And then play Celebrants next turn. Can even discard the Swamp. Maybe we can hope a red. Land a red mana. I think I'm fine doing this, since I don't need a third swamp, and even if we don't get a land, we can still play Scavenger, which is okay. So I think we'll just keep this hand for now, pass, and then we'll play Celebrants since we hit our land drop. Can block this, but he might have a Pump Trick that can be kind of bad for us. Do I play around a Pump Trick here? I'm not sure. With only 3 cards in hand, he could easily have a Pump Trick. But if I don't block this, eventually it'll become a 6/5, which is a lot more difficult to deal with. So he could attack and then maybe force a spell here. Nature's Embrace, alright. So eventually he can transform this, which is a problem. And I don't really have a way to deal with a 6-powered creature. I think it's okay for me chumping for now. So I don't take this 6. And hopefully find a Bleed Dry to deal with this 6/5 eventually. So I think we make this unblockable in attack. I don't think there's any 2-mana spells that can interrupt here. Wolf Strike is 3 mana, so let's go for this. And then by playing the Diagraph Scavenger, he might let the Hookhand Mariner transform, and if he does, I might have to discard this Belligerent Guest, even though it can potentially set up a good double block. But I might just have to get rid of it, or get rid of Gluttonous Guest. Gluttonous Guest is a better blocker, but it doesn't necessarily allow us to trade with the Hookhand Mariner, and that's a strange attack. I mean, I guess I block it. He could have a Sure Strike. I mean, if he lets the trade happen, I'm totally fine with that, so that's a weird trade. He might have another creature. Spore Crowd, wow. Okay, I guess if he allowed that to happen, I'm fine just saying go. And I guess I could maybe just attack with the Celebrants here. He double blocks, he draws a card, but I get to 2-for-1 him. So I guess I'm fine trading here. And he loses both creatures, so that's okay. And I'll sign the Runebound Wolf first, since that's a scarier card. Does get to draw a card, but again, this is still a trade I'm happy making. And then if there's no answers, I can just keep crashing him with the Belligerent Guest. So I was really surprised that he decided to trade a Hookhand Mariner for the Diagraph Scavenger. I would have stayed back to use that at least as a blocker on my against the 4/4, and then it could have still transformed, and it would have been pretty difficult to block. Okay, so Wary Prisoner is a problem. Snarling Wolf is also a problem. So we don't want to transform in nighttime. Or maybe we have to, and then we have to just set up a double block begrudgingly. Maybe that's the play. I think we just play everything out. Maybe set up a double block on this 2/6 if he makes it daytime. Say go, discard any lands. Lightning Wolf. So opponent is playing cards that I don't necessarily care about him playing. So I actually don't mind just transforming and just setting up a double block. I do need white mana though for Edgar. So maybe I need to begrudgingly just pass a turn and play out the planes. And then double block the 6/6, hope he doesn't have some sort of trick. I could also just take 6, but that's a lot. I could also double block the Lightning Wolf. Actually, this is going to gain first strike. I guess it's only first strike at sorcery speed. Yeah, I think I'm forced to double block this and hope he doesn't have a trick. Otherwise, getting hit for 6 per turn is not where I want to be. Okay, that's a good sign. But the Lightning Wolf is still an issue. Stensia Uprising is also an issue, but we can still gain some life in the meantime, and this is still a fine blocker. Okay, Concealing Curtain isn't bad. I think I just transform it now. Or just hold on to the transformation. Yeah, let's actually just transform it. He's just gonna play out his stuff anyways. And then, yeah, we'll see go. Just gonna at least block the Snarling Wolf. If he can give this first strike, I guess if he attacks and doesn't give this first strike, I'm just fine trading. I mean, I guess I don't mind just trading here. With Stensia Uprising, he can easily burn me out. This is only sorcery speed, so I think the opponent messed up there. Now I can discard the Sundown Show Pass, thank God. And having access to blood is almost like drawing a card in the late game. Makes sure we get to not draw in those land pockets. And Rending Flame is nice. I think I'll save that. Probably need to save this for something larger. And then block the 1/1 if he decides to attack with all. Because he can just keep making 1/1s all day. I guess he can just have the option of sacrificing Stensia to deal with my 1/4. Which actually I don't mind him doing. I think that's okay. At least of my worries, at least Uprising is gone. And there's some good cards here in like Edgar. Yeah, we'll just drop in Edgar now. Thank you very much for sacrificing your Uprising. And there's there's no real ways to exile in a red-green deck. So I should be okay. Say Rending Flame for something potentially scary like Ballista Watcher. But I'm happy this opponent actually isn't playing too optimally. I guess I'm blocking this Snarling Wolf, and if he has a trick, I just blow him out with Rending Flame. I mean, yeah. And if this transforms, I can just make 1/1 Lifelinkers. Alright, that's cute, but luckily we have Rending Flame. Does he have a follow-up? Right, Celebrants was nice. And it's also going to be a 5/5 due to Edgar. Make more blood. I don't care if anything trades here, since it's still nice value. And even a Blood Crazed Socialite to follow up. So opponent almost got us there. If he probably didn't attack with the 6/6 that he natured embrace and had some sort of pump trick with the jailbreaker, I would have been in deep trouble. But luckily he didn't. So, all right, let's see what's up next. All right, 3 and 1. Let's keep this up. All right, I guess we have wedding invites. These two cards are awkward. I'll try it still, since we have a braid. And hopefully hit our lands, unlike that one game that we lost. Vile Spawn Spire is a problem. I think I just kill it now and hope he doesn't have a Weaver of Blossoms to follow up. I could have also let him pass and then take 2 and then saved the Abrade, but I'm fine with the Spore Crawler. And then now I can still block with the Concealing Curtain, so I'm probably just gonna draw a card with a Wedding Invitation, play land, and play Concealing Curtain, and then we can activate this next turn. I could also take 3, but I don't want to take 3 I don't want to take this constantly, so maybe it's still fine blocking. Other than that, it's just a free roam. I think I'm fine blocking, and if he wants to use Wolf Strike to kill it, then he'll have to use mana, and if I get another land, I should be okay. So probably going to see a Wolf Strike. Alright, that's fine. It's almost like making him discard a card, and then if we get land, we should be fine here. Land, please. No land, but an Epic here is okay. Maybe I just need to discard a Falconrath Celebrants here to hit a land drop, which I will have to begrudgingly do, given that I need to hit my lands. Alright. Probably take 3 here. Cypher board is fine. It's going to take a while to get going. Alright, never mind. Maybe Mulch is just going to put a bunch of cards in his graveyard. I guess only 1. But it's still going to be a bit of an issue later. So we don't really have anything good to trade with this 3/2. If we get a land, I'm still going to play the Socialite here, and then attack for 1. And then keep taking a beating. I can eventually get this lifelink actually, so don't actually mind just doing this. Maybe save Bleed Drive for the flyer, which has a pretty annoying activated ability. So this is still going to be a 1 counter if he puts a creature. Puts a land, okay. So I'm hoping I can just slow this down and take it from there. Another Mulch, wow. Okay, so now this is going to transform. So I need to be careful here. It's going to become a flying threat that can just keep drawing cards. So I might need to just exile this immediately before it generates him a ton of card advantage, since he can easily activate it next turn. So I'm probably going to, yeah, I'm probably going to have to exile this and take it from there. Flame Blessed Bolt, I guess, can answer it, so never mind. Yeah, I think I just Blessed Bolt this. Seems like a perfectly fine answer. And then, do I attack here? Probably just to get in for the 5, and then maybe block the Mischievous Cat Guys. He does get to enchant something, but then I can Bleed Dryads, which I'm fine with. So I think I'm fine with this play. Getting for 5 is nice, and gaining 5 after we took a beating from this Spore Crawler is okay, and then We can trade for this. If he enhances, I can bleed dry or trade another creature off. So the Flame Blessed Bolt was a really nice top deck. Opponent is definitely playing a ramp strategy. Okay, so he's probably gonna kill this and then enhance his Spore Crawler, getting back a Wolf Strike, I have to imagine. So now I can't really blow out his Wolf Strike necessarily. So I'm probably just gonna take 3 here. I guess I can blow out his Wolf Strike when he tries to do it on my turn. So I'm probably just gonna say go here, and I guess I can pass, and if he tries a Wolf Strike, I can bleed dry. I guess I can always just play a Scavenger if he tries a Wolf Strike, and I should be fine trading off, potentially. Or I can just play Celebrants. By playing Celebrants, I mean, this still blocks everything, so I think this is fine. If he kills my Bloodcrazed Socialite, it's okay. So I probably don't want to sacrifice a Blood Token to the Socialite if I want to attack here, because by doing so, he can just use a Wolf Strike, or I can force a Wolf Strike by doing this, but I think this is okay. And then maybe just force a Wolf Strike now since he kept up all his mana. I can still chump the Mischievous Catgeist if he deals with my Celebrants somehow. Okay, so I'm probably going to chump here. Another Mulch. Is the opponent just going to try to deck himself here? I mean, I understand it can get you your lands, but if you're discarding your creatures, you're not going to really cast anything. So I'm not sure what this implies. Right, I guess I can attack here and then play Scavenger. Yeah. I don't really want to, again, activate this because if I do, he can just respond with Wolf Strike, and I don't want that. So I'm fine trading for the Repository Scob if he double blocks. So probably not going to sacrifice any blood here. I can also blow him out with the Bleed Dry, potentially, but he could. But I might need to save this for like a Hullbreaker Horror if he's milling this aggressively or something. I don't know. I guess now I can play Scavenger, maybe discard land end of turn. I guess he's gonna activate Brambleworm, so I can't exile it. Makes sense, but that's fine. Can still target something like a Valspawn Spider, which he can somehow get back, which can be really annoying. And then we'll probably discard land end of turn. But he still doesn't have any good attacks with this. He can Wolf Strike this, but I can still block it and chump it. It's Toxic Scorp, so giving this Death Touch, I can still take 3. It's not the end of the world. I guess he has I guess he has Wolf Strike to follow this up. Makes sense. Alright, rip. But I still have Scavenger, which can block the 3/3, so I'll kindly take 3 here, and then block the Repository Scob if he attacks with it, which he probably won't. And then I can keep it crashing in for 5. Ooh, should maybe discarded use a land, but that's fine. Let's move to combat. Attack. And then now I'm fine sacrificing a blood since getting for 5 is a lot, and I do have a Voldaren Epic here to follow up here. So maybe I don't really need to discard blood at all. I mean, discard and cycle at all, since I might want to keep crashing with 5 with this Bloodcrazed Socialite. And I don't mind a double block. Okay. And we'll say go. So next turn is basically almost forcing the surprise he's attacking. I'm not going to trade here because by doing so I give him a card. So we're just going to take it here. And then I can just exile the Repository Scob and maybe just attack. Taxidermist is a 4/4, so that's a problem. Maybe it's fine exiling this. And then we can then attack with the Bloodcrazed Socialite. Or we can just attack with everyone because he's forced to double block this. And we should be good, so yeah, I guess we're fine attacking a fall. Sacrifice the blood, and then hope he doesn't have any interaction with this, because he needs to double block this if he wants to stay alive. I guess this is lethal. So either way, he's just dead. Funny. Now that I think about it, maybe I don't mind cutting the 3-mana 3/2 copy of the 3-mana 3/2 trample with the Ragged Recluse, since like we do need stuff to play early, and something that kind of rewards us for making blood tokens, because we don't have a lot of things that reward us for making blood. Like the Gluttonous Guest can gain us some life, and the whatchamacallit, what else? The Socialite can become a 5/5. I mean, there's an argument that blood doesn't really need that many payoffs, since it's just good by itself, since it kind of just gives every single of your card in your hand cycling for one. But I think the one Belligerent Guest can go now, and we can throw in a Ragged Recluse to at least have some sort of 2-drop to follow up the Voldaren Epicure. And I like it over Mind Leech Ghoul. So, yeah, let's try this out and see how it goes. Since I'm kind of I'm not really impressed by the Belligerent Guest. It's just, I like the fact that it generates a blood if it connects, of course, but it does trade down and lines up pretty poorly when your opponent plays a 2-drop, and then you have to play Epicure, and sometimes you're forced to trade for the 2-drop. It doesn't feel great. So I think it's fine going down one of them and just having the Ragged Recluse on turn 2. Okay, I guess we have both our colors, and we can Concealing Curtain on turn 1. I'm still going to play the Showdown past tapped, I think, just to be safe, and then we can leave with the Ragged Recluse, since we can activate this until we have 3 mana. And I probably want to curve Ragged Recluse into Gluttonous Guest anyways. Like, we could risk it and play this turn 1 and then hopefully get a land, which we now did. Alright, got a little punished there, but it's okay. It's not like we plan on activating this exactly on turn 3. We can always do this on turn 4. Entomber, alright. Okay, so we might just have to play Concealing Curtain now, because by playing Concealing Curtain, next turn we can activate this and attack. And we don't really have anything in the graveyard that we care about discarding. Yeah, I might just do this since I'm stuck on black mana. And then we'll say go. Could have played Gluttonous Guest, but then this is almost like a turn 4 play 2, because we want to discard a card to transform to Ragged Recluse. Whereas I'm fine just transforming this now and getting in a good attack. If he holds a mana, that might represent something, but then I can maybe get rid of his counterspell, potentially. So just having information against your opponent is really valuable. So 2 choices: activate this curtain or play Gluttonous Guest, and then discard a land if we get a land. Very interesting to note. All right, I guess we can do. I guess we can still play land, Epicure, and transform. I think I like that, so we'll play Epicure first. And I probably don't want to attack because this is a pretty good blocker against the 3/1. But do you have opponent? I can also decline the discard if I'm not afraid of anything. So Cradle's annoying, Imprisonment is also very annoying, Lunar Rejection is probably the best card in his hand currently. I don't really care about the Imprisonment that much. The Cradle is going to be a problem later. The Lunar Rejection can draw him a card, but I guess if he uses it and draws a card anyways, and I discard it, is almost the same thing. So not sure what I want to do here. I definitely don't want to get rid of the Drog Skull Infantry. The Cradle is again annoying later if he has some sort of flyer. Imprisonment is also kind of annoying. Maybe I just get rid of Lunar Rejection. Given the fact that Lunar Rejection draws a card in cycles, I might as well just get rid of it and kind of treat it like he's cycling it. And then I can also attack, but then this still won't trade off, so that's okay. Just say go. He might use the Imprisonment on the 3/4, and that's fine. I guess he might enchant a creature and might have to pull the Rending Flame before he has Cradle of Safety access open. If he enhances this, I can still double block, and I don't mind. I guess I can always just play out the Scavenger and maybe exile the infantry, since we didn't see any counterspells. So opponent's probably just deciding what to do here. I think his right play might just be to place the Imprisonment on the 3/4. He might just do that. And then, but I still get a good block here. Right, he's going to do this instead. Interesting. I actually don't care about this that much. I can keep up Rending Flame. The Scavenger doesn't do much since now he decided to enhance his creature. I could just Rending Flame and attack. Or just attack and then offer to trade, or attack and then if he doesn't block, I can still discard a card and then transform to Recluse. But then he can attack, and then that's going to be a little bit difficult. I don't necessarily want to Rending Flame this necessarily, but by doing so, I guess I can still attack, discard a land, and then Scavenger maybe the Binding Geist, assuming he doesn't use it next turn. I mean, we also have a Braid, so maybe we start by discarding first. I just got a land, so maybe I attack here, and then if he trades, I can exile. Although, if he does, that'll be lacking threats, but maybe it's still okay. Let's go. I'm fine if he double blocks and trades. If not, I still have a 3/3. He might use the Imprisonment on it. The question is, do I care? Maybe I'm fine playing out Gluttonous Guest, and if he uses Imprisonment, I can still take it. And take it from there. I don't need to keep up Rending Flame, I don't think, this early, so we should be fine. So this might force the Imprisonment on the 3/3, which I'm fine with. We can still take 5 and eventually maybe double block this. Or trade this off and we're fine. Okay, decides to use this instead. So trying to get value off of discarding the auras. If he enhances the Binding Geist, then I might pull the plug on the Rending Flame. If he doesn't, then I'm just gonna Scavenger, maybe exile this. Even though I don't really care if he has this. I'm more interested in maybe exiling the Binding Geist's ability, because that can shrink down my creatures, and that's kind of annoying. So I think we can lead by attacking here. And I guess if he uses the Cradle, we can blow him out with the Rending Flame. Yeah, let's just go. I don't mind if he uses Cradle. We are applying more pressure in the long run, so this is okay. He might just take it. Again, he could block and use Cradle, but Rending Flame, again, we need to keep that up to blow him out. And then, if he doesn't use Cradle, then I can maybe Scavenger and exile, so he's probably going to go for it here, I have to imagine. So he's going to try to flash in Cradle, and then we can just again blow him out, so just do it now. And then we also get to deal 2 extra damage to him because of Rending Flame. And now we can discard a land, end of turn, and say go. Do I want to play out a land here? I guess playing out 1 land is still fine. And then I could still do this main phase because I could have a second Epic here in the library, so using this is fine. He does get to use leverage his auras, but I do have an Abrade here now. So got a nice blowout. If if he imprisons Mints, I can still Scavenger and maybe target the Binding Geist. And this Revealing Eye is a bit of an issue for him to deal with, given that it has Menace. Okay, interesting. I might just need to abrade that then. He's also keeping up another... I guess he's might be keeping up a counterspell here if he isn't going to do anything, and that's kind of odd. Regardless, I'm still going to attack first to see what's up. So none of these have flash, so he's probably holding on to something, maybe a tap effect, maybe chill the grave. Rescue. I guess I can abrade now, which I don't mind. Yeah, I don't really want his creature growing larger, and then abrade is just yeah, abrade 2 for running him here seems good, so this is okay. It buys him a turn, but that might not even do it. So probably using this to enchant one of my creatures to slow it down. Yep, and then maybe we can still exile the Distracting Geist. That's fine. This still has Menace, so I can still attack with both. And maybe, or I can still attack for 1 with this and we're still fine. I can exile the Distracting Geist, but I don't really think I need to when I can play a better threat like Celebrants. And this can still crash in for 1, which is totally fine. Like, this is only good if I'm behind and he needs to use this to lock one of my creatures down. But if he doesn't have any good creatures, then it's just a dead card for the most part. Alright, so probably start by attacking first. And we can crash in for 5 here. Might need to play around a sweeper. So I might not commit anything here and just say go. I mean, I might as well commit a Foreboding Statue since that needs time to grow regardless. So I'm fine just playing this out. And he had a counterspell, so alright. At least we bait that out. And we'll just say go, maybe discard land in the turn. And even if he finds an answer for my Celebrants, I can still maybe drain him for 2 and do an attack to kill him. Who knows? I guess if I do that, he'll still only take 1 down to 1, unless he attacks with his flyer. Alright, he did that just to maybe give the creature lifelink. But he needs a higher power creature to really stabilize. Alright, that's fine. So he can still double block and survive. I probably just want to get rid of the aura immediately, so I'm probably just going to discard here since I don't need this land. And then I'll keep the Wedding. Actually, Wedding Invitation is just game over, so yeah, let's just do it now. Make my Falkenrath Celebrants unblockable. And then yeah, this is probably game over. Yep. Either way, it's probably game over regardless. Like, even if he double blocks, I can attack with all 3 and then finish him off with the Dire Graph Scavenger. So, yep. So far, opponents haven't been scary. Funny enough, usually this is a format that's considered to be littered with bombs. I guess the first opponent we lost to had a pretty scary deck, since he had Edgar and also the Wedding Announcement that he splashed for in a blue-black deck. So that was one of the opponents that we lost to. But yeah, this format is definitely notorious. Just like Ikoria had with cycling, this format is littered with rares and mythics in every color, in every single color. And then the fact that they're just so much more powerful compared to the commons and the uncommons. Make it so that if you don't answer them immediately, you can almost just end up losing the game on the spot. So this is what the format is notorious for. Funny enough, black has the highest density of those rares, but again, you can encounter them in the rest of the other colors, and there's not too many clean ways to deal with them outside of maybe some counter spells in blue, which are not the easiest to keep up if the format is if you aren't on the play, and I guess there's Bleed Dry, and then Imprisonment is also just kind of slow and clunky at times. So yeah, keep that in mind. This is a horrific sealed format, but in terms of draft, it's all right. I've been enjoying this quite nicely. All right, this hand is okay. We don't have to play this immediately, but we probably just want to right away so we can have access to a Braid on turn 2. Otherwise, it'll come in tapped turn 2 regardless. So we'll just play it. Probably take some damage from the Lantern Bearer and abrade something like a Kessic Flame Breather. Or just or maybe just Flame Blast Bolt this. I'll wait until his turn ends, since he could be holding up a counter spell or the enchantment to protect it. And then yeah, just do it end of turn. And then I might find a juicier target with the Flame Blast Bolt. If not, I'm just going to use it now. And if it eats a counter spell, then it's still 1-for-1. Alright, that's good. So probably going to see a counter spell here, and if there's a counter spell, I probably just want to drop the Gluttonous Guest first, since it's the card I least likely care about in this hand. Yup. Alright, he had a Syncopate. Surprised he didn't... Oh, I guess I could have paid for Syncopate, so that's why he let it resolve. That's totally fine. Could probably see another counter spell, but we just gotta keep playing our stuff. If I play Alluring Suitor, he can still Syncopate for 1, so I don't think I play around it. Just try to develop and be mana efficient. Alright. Just gotta bait them all out before we drop this Desecrator at least. Celebrants, okay. So we need a 4 CMC card in the graveyard to really deal with this. Here I don't mind just leading with Belligerent Guest. And then follow up with Suitor since this is harder and we can generate a blood immediately. So we'll do this. And hope we don't get countered again. I do need a expensive card in the graveyard to deal with this Celebrants with the Cemetery Desecrator. I might have to instead maybe take a beating for now, and then eventually just have this as a blocker to deal with the Celebrants. He might also have something else I don't mind just killing here. So, unfortunately, need to take 4, which is a lot of damage. Definitely a top 5 common. This card is excellent. And then maybe swing. Alright, Visionary. So I don't need to abrade now. Like, if I get a land drop, I can maybe answer this and hope he doesn't have another Syncopate. I think that's fine. We just say go. No lands, but we can still play Celebrants. And maybe answer this later. I think we lead by attacking, of course. And he's probably not going to block because he wants card advantage. And I could just abrade here, actually, because the card advantage from this kind of sucks. You know what? I'm going to abrade. I don't really want him drawing a card. And then Alluring Suitor can also transform and provide mana for a Cemetery Desecrator. So I think this is a better approach. And we can potentially deal more damage. There's an argument for holding on to this, because he could have a Cruel Celebrant. But this is respecting the Voltaic Visionary. That's going to become a problem later. Hypnotist I can deal with, since he can't block, and now we have a Rending Flame. So let's move the combat. Attack with both. This transforms. So I have 7 mana available. I guess I'm just going to drop the Desecrator. Since there's no 4 CMC in the graveyard, I care about exiling. I just want to get value off of it now. It sucks that I can't just use 1 mana, but that's fine. And then we can always just Rending Flame the Blood Hypnotist later. Although, there's nothing in the graveyard I can exile to kill anything, so never mind, but the opponent just concedes. That's funny. Oh my god, I almost messed that up. If I wasn't careful and the opponent has maybe ways to deal 3 damage to my face, I could have been dead. Because let's say he made a blood token, made my Desecrator unable to block, and then he sure striked. So that would have been pretty bad. So maybe the right play there was just Rending Flame the Falkenrath Celebrants and take it slow, or at least play the 4/4 Menacer, which can block the 3/3. Not sure. But there was really no need to drop the Desecrator there. other than the fact that I might have just wanted to ramp it out, but yeah. Desecrator is definitely a mythic bomb. And 6-1, alright. So our record is quite nice. And we're going to maybe hit mythic eventually. So let's go to the final boss. And maybe do another draft after this. Alright. Invitation, Suitor, Desecrator. Yeah, let's just end this final boss hopefully with a Cemetery Desecrator as the dessert on top, or the icing on top of the cake. Let's keep it. So white-black, okay. The Luring Suitor is probably better on turn 3 to maybe dissuade an attack from the Panic Bystander. I mean, the Belligerent Guess is also close since it might also dissuade an attack, because by dissuading an attack, if he decides to attack, I can make a blood, but I'm probably going to end up trading for the Resistance Squad regardless. So let's see here. Let's think. So by playing the Belligerent Guest, he gets to attack with the Panic Bystander. By playing the Suitor, he can only attack with the 3-2, I think. So I think we leave with the Suitor. And I don't know if I'll trade it off. Probably not, since it's just too strong. Probably take a beating for now, and then maybe play Guest to trade for the 3-2, or take it again and then attack back and ramp into something powerful. Could see an Imprisonment here as well. So I might have to pull the Rending Flame, but I don't want to use it on the 3-2 necessarily. I guess I can use it on a Flyer. So I could just trade here actually, because by trading he doesn't get to train on the 2-1, and this is a lot of damage, so I guess I'm fine with this exchange. And again, I don't necessarily want to trade here and give him life, but the 3-2 hits pretty hard. So now I can leave a Rending Flame or just play Guest, and that's totally fine. Like, we do have Cemetery Desecrator as a finisher, so I should be okay with this. And if he attacks with a Bystander, I'm fine also blocking. Just don't want to get run over by white, since it's pretty aggressive in this format, and they can deal a ton of damage. So it's probably better off to play the Belligerent Guest to trade for the Resistance Squad, since this can have much more long-term utility. So that might have been an issue. So I probably don't want to block here, because by blocking he gets to draw a card. So I'm probably forced to take 4. And then I can Rending Flame this, or maybe play Celebrants. If he has removal, that's going to be a problem. I'll have to take 4 again down to 10. But that's not the end of the world still. So maybe I can take the risk here, play Celebrants. And then I guess I'm attacking for 3 because I don't... Oh no, I probably need to keep this back. So let's say he has removal. If I attack here, then there's a chance that he can just attack back and he can gain life with the Purifier. So probably stay back for the time being, because I don't want to take 6, and if he has removal, at least this can trade for the 2-3. I guess he can gain 3 life potentially if I trade here. This will become a 3-5, but I can still kill it. So I actually don't mind. I guess now I don't mind trading for the Panic Bystander. So if I trade here, this becomes a 3-5, but then I can just kill it once it transforms. So sure, I'm fine with this exchange. So Panic Bystander transforms. But I mean, regardless if we blocked a 2-2, we might have just decided to trade for this, to Rending Flame that creature regardless. So now we can Rending Flame at least. And then I think I'm fine, maybe Blessed Bolt while he's untapped. And and then we're stabilizing quite well against this opponent. Once we get our 6th land, we can even maybe kill something as well. Infantry, that's fine. Do I discard Epicure here to hit my land drop? Maybe I do, since the 1/1 is not really that important. It does make a blood, but I feel like we just want to hit our land drop to answer this flyer. Otherwise, we can just get run over out of nowhere, and that's usually how you lose games of Magic. Right. Right, so probably none of that happening yet, but I can still play Scavenger, maybe exile something cheap like the Panic Bystander and gain some life. And I probably want to just do this now because I don't want to take extra damage. So this is fine. And we can exile, I guess, Purifier, since there's already a 3-cost creature. I can exile the Desecrator. I really don't want to get that back, so this is okay. Just say go, take 2 in the air, and then once we get land, we can drop the Desecrator and answer this. If he trades this, I actually don't mind blocking this too. Quartermaster, alright, so now we have a flyer problem. I'm still going to block the infantry, I think. Yeah, I think I'm going to be dead if I'm not too careful here. Yeah, this is rough. Alright, at least we get land. I guess I can exile the infantry now and kill the 3/2. Yeah, let's just get rid of this and then take out the 3/2. I guess that makes the most sense. And then he has a 3-turn clock. I can drop Edgar and maybe gain some life, hopefully. We'll see. Imprisonment, that's fine. Take 3. Hopefully Edgar can gain us some life. And hope he doesn't, like, just kill me out of nowhere. So first things first, we want to lead with Wedding Invite, I guess. Drop in Edgar. And then I think I'm fine playing out a land here, and then discarding land end of turn with the blood. And this can also help me stabilize, so that was a nice pickup. And then since he's going to be locked on white mana, I highly doubt he has a way to deal with Edgar unless he plays land into Retribution. But we can still stabilize here, and then I'm fine discarding blood end of turn. Discarding land, I mean, to get more goodies off the top. So we're still in the game. Just need to find answer to the flyers and also gain a ton of life with the Wedding Invite, which we're definitely forced to do so right now, so let's do it right now. And next turn we can make the Falcon Raft Celebrants into an unblockable 5/5 lifelinker with Edgar. And we can also discard a card end of turn as well. Discard a land end of turn too, I guess. And we'll say go. And hope he doesn't have another Imprisonment or Bleed Dry. So yeah, this game is kind of close, and this game is really fun. I do have an Abrade still for the 3/3 flyer, so we should be fine if we can find it. And we have double blood to discard. Desperate Farmer's okay. He might not have anything, so I think we have to just go for an attack here. Probably just going to attack the Celebrants because, oh, okay, Abrade is nice. So, yeah, I think we make this unblockable. Attack in game 5. I can also attack with both, honestly. He does gain back 2. But, so maybe I just attack for 5 here. And then maybe I just Abrade here. Or let's lead by discarding a land first and see what's up. Probably just going to Abrade the flyer during his combat step and hope he doesn't have a pump trick. Because I don't really want to transform this into a 4/3 immediately. So we're just going to let him move the combat. Okay, maybe just do it now so it doesn't transform both. So yeah, let's just do this instead. And then I'm fine trading. Do I attack with just a 4/4 here? I mean, by attacking the 4/4, this just blocks the 2/2. He's probably not going to trade here. I guess if he trades here, this becomes a 4/4, so maybe I'm fine attacking here. And then blocking the Harvester. I do need to attack, though. And hope he just doesn't find removal off the top. But yeah, we discarded a good amount of land, so eventually, hopefully we get some playables to discard these. Trainee, so I probably need to stay back here because he can train onto this. So let's see. Hopefully nothing. But now I need to stay back. I could just block here, take 4. I mean, if I block here, this is going to transform to 4/4 anyways. So I think this is fine. Just can't afford to take the damage, and either way, I can still make 1/1s, 1/1 lifelinkers at the very least. And Scavenger is nice since it's a Death Toucher, so let's just play this out. And then we just want to exile the Angel in case he gets it back, because I think that's the scariest card. I can also attack for 4 here since this can just trade. Or block the Perish Blade Trainee. Or not, I think we're fine just saying go. We should be able to grind him out with Edgar with this deck. Shield Breaker is a problem though. So I might need to keep chumping this to make 1/1 lifelinkers or now start attacking. So now what? Probably block here, block the 4/3. Or block, yeah, probably block like this, block this. He's going to put a 1/1 counter on the Shield Breaker, but then I can just chump with the 1/1 lifelinkers all day and maybe try to outrace him. Alright, Recluse isn't bad. And I'll probably just chump the S-Wall Shield Breaker, attack for 4. And then we can just keep chumping with Edgar as well. And we also gain life. So Edgar will come back, and then we also get to enhance our vampire tokens here. And Edgar can also attack, I guess. So I think I'm fine just sending this since we have a 2/2 to block, and we can also send in Ragged Recluse. We should be good here. This card's so dumb and busted, it's so dumb. Obviously perfect in a vampire deck with splashing white. Alright, so sweet. Went 7-1 with this deck. And we get to finally showcase vampires. So one more draft, and we're just gonna... Then I'm gonna follow up with potentially a 3rd video. But at this point in the format, I think I have it solved. Definitely a lot more balanced compared to Innistrad Midnight Hunt, I have to say. The only imbalance is, of course, I've stated previously, the rares and the mythics outclassing all the commons. But in terms of color preferences, it's reasonably well. With maybe red, black, and white as a slight edge over blue and green, but not by much, since blue and green also just have excellent uncommons. So it's kind of like the inverse of the last set, or the opposite of the last set. The opposite of the last set, the opposite of the last set, due to the fact that the commons were a lot more powerful than most of the rares and the uncommons. Things like Organ Hoarder, Ecstatic Awakener, Diregraph Horde, Revenge of the Drowned, Falcon Wrath Abomination, etc. were just much more powerful than the mythics and rares. Whereas in this set, the mythics and the rares are just outclass most of the other commons, and there's just so many of them that are just so powerful. So like this is the complete opposite in what this set will be notoriously known for. Same with Innistrad Midnight Hunt. It's also not a set that's free of criticism. But yeah, the sealed format is terrible, but the draft format I'm pretty fond of. And yeah, here's the deck. It's really awesome. So not too much interaction, but enough to really stabilize the early game, and then something to deal with. And then 2 good removal spells to deal with something larger. Not too many 2-drops, but we were trying to win the game with Celebrants and a Desecrator, as well as the Scavengers on turn 4, plus Edgar. And our final game finally showcased Edgar, which we basically barely, which we saw in our hands in a couple of games, but barely had the time to even cast it. And in one game when we cast Edgar, I believe they had a Bleed Dry or a Sigarda's Imprisonment to deal with it. So, yeah, there you have it. So we're going to probably move on to the next draft. So let's... And claim our prize. Nice reward of 6 packs. I can also just go over some choices here before we jump on to the next draft, and I will. Since it's going to be a little bit difficult going pass all 12 packs at this at the end of this video. So let's click this and pack one, pick one, Crimson Vow. Probably just take the Mariner here. Grizzly Ritual's a fine one of, but there's just too much cheap interaction in this format that can that can deny it. Things like Adamant Will, Alchemist Retrieval, Kratos Safety that we saw in one of our last two previous games in the last draft, protecting your creatures. So I'm not a big fan of Grizzly, but I'll play a copy if I'm lacking Bleed Dries, or if I need a one of. Ancient Lumbernaut, a black-green payoff, but I think that's the worst archetype pair in this format, along with blue-green. And I think it's worse than blue-green unless you can get the payoffs like Ancient Lumbernaut and curve out with it. So this archetype can steal games, but it's really inconsistent in my opinion. And you do need to build around it by playing a bunch of high toughness creatures with low power. But then if your payoffs get answered and you have no ways to bring them back, then it's just your whole game plan fails and you can just lose to a bunch of flyers or a late game bomb. So, not a big fan of black-green, just take the Hook Hand Mariner. Infestation Expert is probably the best card in this pack, and I'm fine taking over Gluttonous Guess. Even though green is notoriously the worst color, this is just a very powerful card. And if it becomes nighttime, keep in mind you can enter the battlefield and make 2 insect creature tokens and also attack and make double. So yeah, this card is great. I don't think it's not the level of Grave Titan, but it's kind of similar, and it's also not the level of a Dargraph Horde like in the last set, but also similar. At least the 1/1 tokens can block. Alright, yeah, our Caretaker's a bomb. Our first draft video had someone pass us pick 5, but it is by far the first pick here. I think the second pick here is a Flame Blessed Bolt over Paxson Pup just to stay open. Paxson Pup I really only like in a deck with werewolves, lots of them, especially in red-green. Yeah, I think by staying open, we can have access to red-black, which is the best archetype, red-blue, which is also very excellent, and of course red-green is also great. Red-white is probably the worst of the red decks, but still reasonable. But Caretaker is definitely a card that they should have printed, and is kind of a pure example of what this format is about. Along with Dread Feast Demon. Alright, Volatile Arsonist, another insane mythic. Not at the same power level of Caretaker, but definitely a very strong one. Since, yeah, it just punishes 1 toughness. If it's daytime, punishes 2 toughness. If it's nighttime, and then it can just deal so much damage and catch the opponent off guard. So this is definitely a bomb, and definitely the slam dunk first pick. If this wasn't in his pack, just take a Fierce Retribution as a top white common. Better in a much more defensive deck, but you'll still play a copy maybe even if you're aggressive. Here it's just Traveling Minister, the best white common. I think I have this number 4 on my list on top 5, and I would take over Falcon Wrath Celebrants. Not over any of the red removal or bleed dry, but this is definitely the best card in the pack by far. Just does so much, especially for the white-black life gain deck. Helps training with some of the green-white creatures, and also just helps your flyers scale in the early game, and the damage can definitely add up. Plus the lifelink, the life gain makes it really difficult to race. And then there's also Flourishing Hunter, a nice top-end creature to ramp into if you're a green-based ramp deck. But there you have it. Alright, let's move on to the next draft. Maybe crack this crate since it's kind of annoying. And let's go. Alrighty then, pack 1, pick 1, Premier Draft Crimson Vow. What do we have? The fine pleasure of opening. Unfortunately, Chandra is a little bit more flashy than it is good. Yeah, this is actually one of the first sets that, I mean, one of the more recent sets with terrible Planeswalkers. Like, in most sets, the Planeswalkers are really powerful, but Chandra isn't anything amazing. So the Plus ability allows you to ramp a bit and ping the opponent, so it's incremental damage, but you really want some bodies that can block on turn 3, not just a Planeswalker that can just die almost immediately. And then the other second ability only rewards you if you can exile a red card off the top of your library, so that means it doesn't include red lands, funny enough, since lands are considered colorless, so you can't even get a land off of it. And obviously the ultimate is difficult to get to, but if you somehow manage to do so, it can kind of just win you the game. But other than that, it's not going to be my first pick. We're just going to take Bleed Dry here, one of the best commons in this set, and has a much more unique effect that's irreplaceable. Second pick, believe it or not, I think is the Voldaren Epicure or the Evolving Wilds, but I think we just take Bleed Dry. Not a big fan of the Innocent Traveler. It's okay, like if I don't have any 4-drops in black, I'll play it, but usually there's the Blood Crazed Socialite. Wow, Dollhouse of Horrors. I believe we opened this pack one, pick one in the previous draft video, but now we're getting past it, so I don't know what's going on. I mean, Dollhouse is definitely a bomb, and you play that in any deck, but we somehow end up with the blue-black exploit deck. I think this is going to be at its best, being able to animate things like Repository Scob to exploit itself to get value off of the graveyard. So this is a nice gift. If this wasn't his pack, I'd probably just take Gluttonous Guest here. Other good commons include Hookhand Mariner. If you're in a blue-red spells deck, Ancestral Angers can be quite nice, but darn, getting past Dollhouse of Horrors, what's going on? I think this is wrong. I would take this over every common and uncommon in the set. Alright, whatever. I'm probably drunk. Alright, I guess we can take Undead Butler, maybe set up blue-black, since that's where the Dollhouse is going to be at its best at. Cigar to Summon is for green-white, but as we all know, the green-white training deck isn't all that great. If we can hope to wheel Chill to Grave if we end up blue-black. The Hookhand Mariner, not a big fan of black-green necessarily. As I've stated, I think is the worst archetype. Wedding Invitation would keep us most open, but again, Undead Butler has a much more unique effect, and if we do end up blue-black, this is a great card to have access to. It does end up exiling itself if it dies, so you can't get it back with Dollhouse, sadly enough, but it also mills the top card of your library, so it actually benefits Dollhouse of Horrors, funny enough. So worst case scenario, it mills Dollhouse. Best case scenario, it mills creatures. Let's take the Undead Butler. Maybe black-green is somehow open, as we see at Ancient Lumber. Not the best card in this pack is Heron of Hope. There's other fine commons here. Another Hookhand Mariner, a Wedding Invitation, Blood Petal Celebrant. Cruel Witness is also fine, but I rather prefer the Repository Scob. I don't think I want to move into black-green. Again, I want to avoid that as much as possible, and it just doesn't really have any synergy with Dollhouse since all the creatures come back as 1/1s. So I'm just liking maybe taking Heron of Hope. We can end up maybe white-black life gain, and this is a great card. And if we pick up Traveling Ministers, it just becomes even more powerful. And is also one of the top white commons here. So if we wanted to force black-red, maybe take Blood Petal Celebrants. But Heron of Hope seems like the best common. And it keeps us open. Okay, there's a Fierce Retribution, but there's also Archghoul of Thraben, so this could be a sign maybe the blue-black zombies deck is open, given that we were past Undead Butler. The best common in this pack is definitely Fierce. We did take a Heron of Hope. We could end up black-white life gain, but if we don't end up with Traveling Ministers, this can be kind of awkward. Black-white is definitely one of the more defensive decks that could leverage a Fierce Retribution. But I'm kind of down to just go for the high-risk, high-reward approach since I'm seeing this Archghoul of Thraben pretty late. And if we do end up blue-black, this card is quite nice, since you can just end up surveilling whenever a zombie dies, and if it's a zombie, you draw it. So I'll take a risk here, take Archghoul of Thraben, probably a less flexible card than Fierce Retribution, but I think if we do end up blue-black, it's going to be incredible, so I'll take it. And as I say that, there's no blue-black cards I'm interested in. Yeah, this pack is just kind of a whiff. I think the best card is like Flourishing Hunter. Selhoff Entomber is fine, like if you pick up some skeletons you can discard it, but outside of like blue-white, I'm not a really big fan of Selhoff Entomber in the blue-black deck. I guess you can always put things in the graveyard for Dollhouse to reanimate, but I'm just going to take the Flourishing Hunter. I'm not opposed to black-green, but I hopefully don't want to end up drafting it. Okay, now maybe we can take Kindly Ancestor, and maybe the life gain deck is open. So might have missed out on the Fierce Retribution, but that's fine. Skywarp Scob is also going to be at its best in blue-black, so if it's still open and we get one later, it's decent as a blocker that can get you a bit of value. But we'll take Ancestor over Geist, since we care more about life gain in the black-white deck if we end up there. Alright, and seeing a late Infantry, alright. So I guess I'll just take Infantry and assume we're base white. There's also Persistent Skeleton as a sacrifice fodder for blue-black. But there's a lot of sacrifice fodder at common. I'd rather just keep taking the best card, and Infantry is a nice 2-drop. Okay, there's a late Epic here too, but maybe we just take Evolving Wild since we didn't see red particularly open. I don't care about the rest of these other white cards. They're kind of filler. So I'm just going to take Evolving Wilds in case we need some fixing, or maybe end up splashing. But that's a late epic here. White does look really open here. Alright, I guess we take Specimens in case we somehow end up blue-black still. There's a chance we end up blue-white, then Cradle's okay. Not sure if I even care about Sporeback Wolf in a white-green deck. And Skulking Killer is pretty bad, so just take the Specimens. And that's a pretty late Wedding Invitation. Not sure if it's going to be great if we end up white-black, but it's still maybe better than the rest of these. The best 4-drop in white is Heron of Hope, not S-Wall Shieldbreaker, so I don't want to miss out on this. And I'll take a second one, just an underrated common for some reason going really late. Alright, Siphon Essence, if we end up blue-black could be a thing. Alright, so the first pack went kind of awkward. I can kind of gauge that white is open, but outside of that, we could be anything. Here we open up Mirror Hall Mimic. Okay, so this is definitely a bomb rare. There's also Angelic Quartermaster to keep us in white, and it's a great uncommon as well. Probably one of the best uncommons. And then everything else in this pack, there's some decent cards. Wolfstrike, Kindly Ancestor, but not the same level of this. I mean, I have a feeling that maybe blue-black is still open, and if not, we can still end up in some sort of blue-white deck. And we kind of have a decent setup with the auras going. So I think I'm tempted to just take Mirror Hall Mimic. I think it's just a really nice, powerful rare at the same level as a lot of the other rares in the set. And yeah, it just enters in as any copy, and then later, if you enchant any creatures, including your own, you can just make copies over and over again on your upkeep, and that can just win you the game. Whereas Quartermaster is better if you're just curving out and being aggressive, and we do have a decent curve already, but I feel like it's slightly underpowered than the Mirror Hall Mimic, so I'll take it. And now just take a Lantern Bearer. The best common in this pack is a Braid, but I just took a Mirror Hall Mimic, so I think we're taking Lantern Bearer to follow up, and we didn't see any red cards in the last pack, so I guess we can treat blue as our primary color now, so maybe we can end up white-blue or black-blue at the end of the day. Probably maybe end up white-blue since we saw white more open in our previous pack, but Lantern Bearer is a nice pickup and the best white common. Now we're seeing some interesting cards here. Could speculate on Dargraph Scavenger, actually. Infantry is fine, but kind of replaceable sometimes. Yeah, we're seeing some red cards. These cards are great, but we're just going to have to ship them to my right-hand side. There's a chance we can still end up blue-black exploit, honestly, and I think I have Dargraph Scavenger higher than Strogskill Infantry, so we're definitely going to water around a bit until we find our open lane. Since I don't want to give up on the blue-black dream yet, given that we have some of these good cards. So I'm going to take the Scavenger over Infantry. And then we'll take another Lantern Bearer, perfect. Also wouldn't mind Doom Dissenter as an exploit creature. Blood Fountain could be okay, but just take a Lantern Bearer. So, yeah. Didn't see any Brine Combers yet, and by being in blue-black, we have access to Bleed Dry, which is really powerful. But now, I don't really care about Ragged Recluse in blue-black. I care more about maybe Nurturing Presence and Heron Blessed Geist. Nurturing Presence is pretty nice with Lantern Bearer on turn 2. So I might just prefer Nurturing, but Nurturing Presence tend to wheel. So maybe I'm better off with Heron Blessed Geist just to round out the curve if I end up blue-white since I don't have any 5s yet. So sure, why not? Let's take the Heron Blessed Geist over Nurturing Presence if we end up blue-white. And we'll just keep taking the Lantern Bearers here. So, no respect. Okay, alright, that's a sign. Alright, we're definitely blue-white now. That's a sign. Alright. We missed out on an Infantry, so what? I was fine speculating, and now we got past Dorothea. I don't think she's an incredible, insane S-tier bomb, but she's definitely at maybe B+ range. And it's quite powerful. Keep in mind, our disturbed creatures are going to be a little bit awkward with the Dollhouse of Horrors, since we don't want to exile enchantments, but we can maybe still make room for this. And wow, late Traveling Minister, perfect, the best white common. So I think we now abandon black and move into white-blue. Even though we waste a couple of picks in the first pack, we're now getting well rewarded and after finding the open lane. And I'll probably take a Spirit over Rallier as a random blocker. There's also Adamant Will, which can be kind of cute too. But I don't really care about Will that much. Steelclad Spirit can still be a fine ground blocker if we don't have enough 2-drops, which we might be lacking. And then none of this matters. Entomber is not bad, it's a good blocker, and also helps put spirit cards in the graveyard. And then I don't mind having access to a Ceremonial Knife now that we have triple Lantern Bearer. It's actually pretty good in this type of deck. Since blue-white don't really have too many ways to access blood, it's nice to have a way to incrementally do so to discard spirits in the late game and prevent flood. And as we saw from the last previous draft, Black-Red Blood is quite powerful, and Nurturing Presence picked 13. Alright. So it even wheeled, so took the gamble on the Heron Blessed Geist, and we got a Nurturing Presence, so we just need Braincomber. Anya is busted, but we can't take her. I'm not going to splash her and move back into blue-black. I think that's a bad option. Probably just take Fierce Retribution here since our interaction is not that great. We have a Siphon Essence, but that doesn't deal with anything that slips through the cracks. And we have a good amount of 2-drops already. I don't need to prioritize Fleeting Spirits. Fleeting Spirits are okay, but it's a bit of a nombo with the whole enchantments thing, so let's take a Fierce Retribution here. So gambled on passing up a Fierce Retribution, and this is what we get. Okay, I'll just play a million of these. Chill the Grave isn't bad too. I mean, I could just take Chill here because again we need interaction. The best blue common is Lantern Bearer, but maybe we just need to chill at this point, just to maybe tap things down for a turn and allow our flyers to get across the finish line. Because again, it's the triple Lantern Bearers. We shouldn't be lacking any ways to get across. So I'm actually going to take Chill of the Grave here over Lantern Bearer, which could, funny enough, even wheel if blue-white's really open. And we'll take another Nurturing Presence. Not sure I'll play Steelclad Spirit. I'd rather just enchant this one, a Lantern Bearer on turn 2. And then could take a Syncopate. We aren't ramping into anything with the Foreboding Statue. And this is a nice flexible counterspell in case we need to deal with opposing bombs. We're not really a flash deck, but by including more instant speed stuff, we do improve the chances that they're better. And yeah, the Dollhouse of Horror is a little bit awkward in this deck. I still think we might keep it, and then maybe just take a Fleeting Spirit here. Don't care about this 4-drop flyer. I don't care about... We already have 2 counter spells. Take a Fleeting Spirit. At least that's an above average 2-drop I might be interested in playing. So as much as I like Dollhouse, it might not make the cut. And then, wow, Traveling Minister and Imprisonment. Darn, why do I have to choose between these two? I think it's a Minister here. I mean, it's just powerful on turn 1, and then just being able to just gain life and win in the air is fine. Like, as long as we, I mean, yeah, I think it's Traveling Minister. The effect is unique enough. As much as I don't mind Imprisonment, I think the game plan is just to go wide with our flying and kill them in the air. So I don't really need that much interaction, to be honest. And then now I can maybe take a Stitch Assistant now with doubling Nurturing Presence. It's because I'm missing out on some 3-drops. Could also just try the Foreboding Statue for the hell of it. Yeah, why not? Foreboding Statue could be fine. Although I'm not ramping. Maybe just play 3 copies of this. Yeah, let's just play a million copies of Nurturing Presence. And yeah, even wield a Fierce Retribution, so didn't need the Imprisonment at all. We're just going to be hyper aggro with Lantern Bearers Ministers. Load them up with Nurturing Presence and just ping them in the air while we stabilize the ground. And if that's the case, we could see maybe playing a Militia Rallier in this deck since we're lacking a 3-drop that can block. And we're not splashing anything. So I'm alright, not a bad deck. So the game plan is death by 1,000 cuts. We're going to just make a bunch of 1/1s all day and and then they're cheap enough so then we might have access to counter spells in the later game. And then we're just going to try to win in the air and take it from there. But I think this is definitely the core baseline. Wish I have more top-end flyers, but I mean, we weren't past any, but we definitely read the signal that we were supposed to be in blue-white, I have to imagine. Okay. So we might have to just play a Rallier as a random blocker. I think I played over Steelclad Spirits, since Steelclad Spirits can't attack unless you play an enchantment, which can be kind of awkward at times. And we already have enough stuff on turn 2 to play. So Militia Rallier, believe it or not, is actually not a bad card. That being said, it feels kind of awkward putting this away. I potentially like this being able to bring back like a Lantern Bearer later, but again, this comes back as an enchantment that you can later cast to enhance a creature. Not sure, maybe it's still fine playing Dollhouse since we don't have much to do on turn 5. In terms of creatures counts, we don't have... I mean, the Nurturing Presence do count as making 1/1 flyer. So let's see. So this is kind of like the curve we're looking at, and then might keep this Nurturing Presence. Could even go 16 lands. Funny enough, but we also want to cast this on turn 5 if it ends up dying, and then the disturb cost of these cards also require a bit of mana to really get going. So not sure here. I could see playing a Piercing Light to maybe have some cheap interaction in the early game, which isn't that bad. It isn't a very exciting card either. Or maybe just take a Ceremonial Knife to have more ways to enhance our creatures. And again, having access to blood is really powerful. So I can see the argument throwing the Ceremonial Knife, and then maybe we just need the Militia Rallier over the Dollhouse, or just take the Dollhouse anyways. Like, we might just take the Dollhouse, and if our stuff trades off, we can just, again, bring them back. I think Dollhouse is a stronger card, but I'm not sure if it's right for this deck. That's the only problem. There's also Wanderlight Spirit if I want to be more aggressive, but we should have enough 2-powered creatures on turn 2 immediately that we don't need a random 3-drop. I can also see the argument of playing both Dollhouse and Militia Rallier, maybe going down a land, funny enough. So, how good is a Dollhouse? It does exile our enchantments and auras, but they still come back as 1/1s. And that actually isn't too bad, because let's just say a bunch of these Lantern Bearers end up in the graveyard. We can just bring them in as flyers constantly, and they're just going to keep growing over time. It's good to the Heron of Hope. I mean, the thing is, like the fact that, they could just come back and generate value is nothing I'm too afraid of. So maybe I don't need Dollhouse, funny enough, and then we can just play something like this, which might be reasonable. Our curve is definitely very low, so there's an argument for even going 16 lands and just try throwing the Dollhouse for some apparent reason. We can maybe go down a single island and play the Dollhouse maybe as a turn 5 spell that we somehow managed to get to. So I actually don't hate going 16 lands, since we're looking to play early, play a very aggressive game with this type of deck. And that way we can still try out the Dollhouse in this deck, even though it's kind of weird and awkward at times. I still think it's useful maybe bringing back a flyer later. But again, the problem is that the auras already come back from the graveyard and generate value, so by exiling them, and bringing them back, it's kind of redundant unless it's some sort of flyer, potentially. Maybe I still try it out here. There's also an argument for Supernatural Rescue actually being a decent interaction spell. Like, you can still cast this on turn 4 to tap 2 target creatures down and enhance a creature and get in for some damage, but it is kind of clunky on turn 4. So not sure here. How many spirits do we have? 9 spirits. So it's actually a pretty playable card in this type of deck. And if we're going to be aggressive with flyers, it's actually reasonable. So I could see taking the Supernatural Rescue here and maybe discarding, getting rid of like Siphon Essence, which is kind of awkward in this type of deck. And then Syncope is at least flexible. Sometimes we can keep up some mana available, and then Chill the Grave can answer something on the ground to tap down. So I don't mind just getting rid of this Siphon Essence. And Entomber is also reasonable to have as a 2-drop blocker. And then the Ceremonial Knife being able to upgrade some of our flyers can help us close out or generate blood. So I think this is the deck. Again, the considerations are Siphon Essence and Piercing Light, and I don't really care about Piercing Light that much. Siphon Essence is a little bit worse if you're looking to curve out. It does play well with the Supernatural Rescue, funny enough, but maybe in this deck Rescue is just better, since we're looking to be more tempo-oriented. So let's try this out, and if Dollhouse doesn't overperform as expected, we can just cut it and maybe run 17 lands or throw back in the Siphon Essence. Let's give this a shot. And yeah, Dorothea. If we don't have any 1-drops in our opening hand, we might have to mulligan, because we do want Lantern Bearers and Ministers on turn 1 with this type of deck. I mean, Dollhouse is still very strong with, like, Traveling Minister, but we'll see. If we had a single Brian Comer, this deck would have been perfect, especially with Nurturing Presence. Alright, an opening hand, Lantern Bearer is always great, and here's a hand with Dollhouse of Horror, so we'll see this card in action, and if it doesn't overperform as expected, again, we can always just put it back into the sideboard, maybe throw in the counter spell, but for now, this is fine. Even if we top deck Minister, I think we're still playing Lantern Bearer on turn 1, since we can still go Lantern Bearer into Traveling Minister and develop both spells. So, green-white. Alright, Traveling Minister. That's a good one. Probably attack. Highly doubt I'll see any removal on a 1/1 flyer. And then Minister is going to be pretty powerful with the Lantern Bearers, as well as a Heron, so we can always main phase Heron next turn, gain the extra 2 life from the Minister, and then attack for 3 in the air. And then Dollhouse bringing back Heron is also kind of cute. So unless the opponent has some sort of annoying reach creature, we should be okay. Like, our biggest weakness is against some sort of archer with reach. I guess we're only in land 3, so I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Alright, we'll attack for 3 and then take 3 on the way back. And then Heron can also just gain us a ton of life. Okay, never mind, this is a 6/3 now. So I'll be taking a lot, so we might have to keep a chump blocker back next turn. But I guess attacking for 3 wasn't that bad. Almost forgot that it was still turn 3. But this is a lot, so we might not be able to outrace him, so I need to probably keep a Lantern Bearer behind. Heron of Hope maybe starts helping me gain life before I get run over by this Moonlit Ambusher. So should have thought of that. Either way, we didn't have any good blocks against this, even if it transformed into nighttime. Maybe the only consideration was to keep back a 1/1 blocker to chump. Resistance Squad, luckily this isn't a human, so that's fine. So we'll take 6, and then we want to main phase Heron of Hope. I can also play Militia Rallier to maybe trade off for the 6/3, but this is more mana efficient. Yeah, let's play Heron. Then we can even give it life gain next turn and play Militia Rallier. And question is, do I keep one of them back to chump? It's not a bad idea. I don't really want to go down 11 since I'll be probably going to take a hit from this Resistance Squad anyways. And by blocking here, we can eventually get it back with the Dollhouse of Horrors. So that's fine. Probably see an attack. We can chump the 6/3. And then, funny enough, he can train onto the Griff Rider, which could also be a problem later. So that's an issue. But I'm still going to play Militia Rallier for sure, to maybe hold off the 6/3. I mean, the Lantern Bearer, regardless, isn't even going to really attack, block the Griff Rider well if he trains into it. So I think we have to take this approach here, and then just give his lifelink an attack. He could have a Fierce Retribution, but I'm not going to play around it. Since, yeah, if he trains onto this and he blocks, it's still going to result in a trade. So probably an Adamant Will, I think, or a Pump Spell. Yep, Adamant Will. I still gain 3 life, and I can bring it back with Dollhouse of Horrors next turn. So at least this can trade for the 6/3. He does get to train onto this, but by using Dollhouse, I can start making my constructs. Okay, so this is going to become a 4/4 Angel, so that's even worse. That's a lot of damage. I can chill it, but I can still afford to take a hit. Let's just play Dollhouse here. And then we can bring back Heron of Hope, give it haste. And, yeah, I could still chump. Yeah, I might want to chump here. It puts more stuff in the graveyard, and then I can make my Heron even larger. So luckily he doesn't have any other ways to generate counters, so I can chill this next turn. I guess he can get this indestructible, but if I chill it, then it's still fine. So he's kind of forced to attack here. I can still chump, and then we can keep up chill the grave because we can just use Dollhouse to animate our Lantern Bearer, and we can also just gain a ton of life. So, ooh, even Supernatural Rescue is quite awesome. So, yeah, first things first. Let's exile our Lantern Bearer. Gives me an extra flyer with haste. And then I can also, yeah, activate Traveling Minister. Probably fine giving Lifelink this turn because we have Chill active anyways, and we can pay for it. So maybe if we get a land next turn, we can decide to Supernatural Rescue instead. And I think we attack for 5 because this is a 2-turn clock. And then I can still take the hits on the way back, so we're still good. So yeah, I guess Dollhouse is just really amazing in any deck, funny enough. So he probably needs to keep this back so he doesn't get run over, but little does he know we have Chill of the Grave. That's cute, but I'll probably see a quick concession here. Alright, we somehow won against a deck that was smashing us with 5/5s and 6 powered creatures. Okay. I'm sold. Dollhouse of Horrors is great in any deck. And the Militia Rallier did pretty well in that game too, allowing us to block, so I feel like 16 lands is still the way to go with this. There's an argument for maybe cutting a Nurturing Presence and going down 17 lands, which I also don't think it's wrong as well. But maybe we can still keep playing, and if we end up getting mana screwed, we might want to consider. Like, there's barely any expensive stuff. 2 5-drops. We have some 4-drops, but it's not much. I can even consider cutting just a Fleeting Spirit, honestly. It's kind of whatever. Or maybe we just cut a Nurturing. Nurturing is just so powerful if we're able to win the game with flyers. We'll just keep trying this. If it gets bad, then we'll probably go down, go back up to 17 lands. Alright, no blue mana. If I had blue mana, this is a straight keep, but we'll mull. Alright, Dollhouse again. I think we're going to keep, and then, interestingly enough, what do we discard? Self Entomber is a better blocker, and we do have 3 copies of Nurturing Presence. I could also bomb the Dollhouse, but with 3 lands, I'm actually not looking really forward to doing so. The Nurturing Presence is better if we have a flyer, but we can always get one eventually. Maybe I can bomb a land and get greedy here, or maybe Dollhouse just has to go. Dollhouse is just so powerful, though. Darn, maybe Self Entomber goes. It is a good blocker, but we might just want to enhance Traveling Minister on turn 2 and go from there. So let's do this instead, and hopefully I don't regret this. Alright, nurturing presence on Traveling Minister is not necessarily what you want to do, but we do want to get a flyer going, and then Traveling Minister can pump our flyer, and we can still get in for 2 this turn, so it isn't the worst. I hate doing this, but again, it's a necessary evil. Cemetery Gatekeeper, at least he doesn't get to exile anything, so it wouldn't. So it's actually, that's not really good for us. Let's just pump it in, attack with the Lantern Bearer. Eventually get to land 5 to maybe bring stuff back if they end up dying. Could have pumped an attack, but then this has first strike, so this is probably going to stay back on defense, I have to imagine. So I don't mind trading off a flyer here, actually. So I might be more inclined to pump the Lantern Bearer. By pumping the Lantern Bearer, he's more inclined to trade that off. And that's probably what I want to happen. I can also use the Supernatural Rescue. We'll take 2. Alright, I think we tap and then enhance the Lantern Bearer to maybe force a trade here on the Lantern Bearer, and then I don't necessarily want to use the Lantern Bearer yet, otherwise he can just get a nice 2-for-1, so we'll say go. And maybe keep this in the graveyard for Dollhouse of Horrors. So opponent's going to try to race us in the ground now. And we do have access to Supernatural Rescue, which is quite nice. I could also Lantern Bearer now, but yeah, let's just attack for 2 and then Supernatural Rescue end of turn maybe. If I Supernatural Rescue, I get to prevent some damage, but then he might kill my flyer. I think that's okay. And then this also just becomes a 2-power flyer that he has to contend with eventually. So this is okay. And I can play another Nurturing Presence. Although this is probably going to run into a Wolf Strike. I think I still do so just to get in as much damage as possible. Yeah, it sounds strange, but I think we just do this. It's going to die to Wolf Strike, and I know it. But it's still a play I think I have to make to get an extra flyer out. And also just attack him for 4 in the air. So rip Spirits, but we still get to get in for 4, and then we also have a 1-1 that can start pinging him off. And if this dies, then I can just enhance my 1-1 potentially. So take the hit. And probably see Wolf Strike here. Okay, so I can leave with the Traveling Minister, enhance the 1-1 flyer, and see what's up. So probably see Wolf Strike here. The question is, do I even attack? I probably am forced to use the Heron Blessed Geist to chump. So I'm probably just going to attack here. He's going to use Wolf Strike on the 2-3, I have to imagine. I guess he could just... I guess he's not going to die. So he doesn't have to Wolf Strike and he can just kill me on the way back. But maybe he's just too scared. I actually don't mind him being scared here. Okay. So our biggest weakness is, I guess, the big creature. Could you see a counterspell and I'm just dead, right? 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I guess I'm just dead. Alright, good games. I can't deal with large creatures and the opponent curved out. Yeah, that's our biggest weakness. Large creatures and big ground blockers that in large reach creatures, so. Either way, I think our deck is still really fun, and we still managed to get to 5 lands to eventually cast Dollhouse, so I think 16 lands is reasonable still. Honestly, I have no idea how we would have won that. We had to find a way to keep jumping to 6-4. But he basically had Counterspell backup and a Wolf Strike, so it was not a game we could have won. The only way to win was to make sure we were aggressive enough and the opponent stumbled. Okay, well, 1-drop, 2-drop, gotta believe. Might actually lead Lantern Bearer into Nurturing Presence, believe it or not, so then it becomes a much more relevant threat. And then we can always follow up with another creature to pump it, so I don't mind just Nurturing Presence. It puts out an extra flyer. Although if he taps out here, I might want to just play Infantry, so, I mean, alright, so if he taps out here, I'm totally fine. So let's just get this Nurturing Presence online and start smashing for 2. Worst case scenario, he had Flame Blessed Boats. Best case scenario, he doesn't. But we still get to make a 1-1 that can start chipping in. Don't care about this Death Toucher that much. I think if he attacks, I'll let it slide, since the game plan is to win in the air. So hopefully no Flame Blessed Bolt. Upgrade is fine, since I can still use this to enchant a creature later, like a Flying Kindly Ancestor potentially. And the life gain is just so powerful. So if he keeps up mana, I'm probably not going to do anything. If he just attacks and then plays a large creature, I think I'll just enchant the Kindly Ancestor. And there's a Hookhand Mariner, our scariest boy. Let's just enchant the Kindly Ancestor and attack for 4, and also gain life. I mean, yeah. If he transformed this, I think we're going to Chill the Grave or Fierce Retribution. Probably see a removal, I feel like. So he decided to just take the turn of hits just to develop the 4-drop. So he can do this, okay. So probably need to hopefully draw into a land and keep up Retribution to deal with the Hookhand Mariner. If not, I guess I'm fine using Ceremonial Knife and attack for 1. I think I need to use a Fierce Retribution this turn, so we'll say go. And then hope the opponent attacks, and then I can use this to finish it off. He might just pass a turn, and if he does, that does punish me a bit, but... Yep. There's no immunity effects in red-green, so this is fine. Just try to slow him down a bit. Alright, Mirror Hall Mimic, I think I can now equip, or just play a 2-drop here. I don't think giving this lifelink is going to accomplish much. I could just attack for 2 and then maybe discard to hit my land drop. Maybe that's reasonable, since this can't really block the 1-1 anyways. And hope this resolves and I don't get punished. So if he has a removal spell, this would kind of waste my whole entire turn. If not, this is fine. And then I might actually just use the blood token here to discard, yeah, the infantry, since it's, aura. It can potentially allow us a double spell, but it's okay. I just need to hit my lands. And hopefully he doesn't kill us on the ground anytime soon. Mirror Hall Mimic can maybe copy something to maybe trade off to as well. So opponent's just going to get aggressive here. And I need to be careful. Mimic can copy Scorpion, and that can maybe offer a trade potentially. So I'm kind of scared here. I could play the Dorothea, otherwise I could just play Heron of Hope and still take 4. I think we lead by attacking. And we want to surprise him on the way back, I think, with something like Dorothea. So now we'll play Heron, and then if he uses removal on Heron, I can maybe set something up. Okay, if he lets it resolve, that means he doesn't have an answer, and then we can just maybe race him. Hunter, he's just going to gain 1 life, but that's a perfect target for Chill. Or at least a perfect target for Mirror Hall Mimic entity. So I could just copy this and then offer to trade, which I don't mind. And we can also just gain 4 life here due to Heron of Hope. So this is good. And I'm happy trading this off. If he attacks, this is going to be pretty surprising. So probably just going to block here and offer to trade. I could block here. But yeah, if I tap down this blocker, he's dead. So yeah, I think this is a reasonable trade. And then I can trade here and then maybe use the aura for later. Okay, that's fine. So now I can still Dorothea, and that's lethal, assuming it resolves. I can also take the safer approach, but I think Dorothea is enough here that we go for it, since we... I guess never mind, this is a creature, so we'll kill him next turn. But for now, we can make a blood, and then we can also tap something down in the turn if he has some sort of random haste creature or flyer. I thought this was an aura that enchanted a creature, and if I attack, it becomes a 4/4. I guess it needs to end up in the graveyard first. So never mind, I'm just not thinking straight. Ooh, Vampire's Vengeance would have been pretty insane against my 1/1 flyers. Canopy, okay. And then I can just cycle chill here just to prevent damage from happening, and then he should be dead. Assuming he doesn't have a Flame Blessed Bolt. Alright. Didn't even really have to do this, but why not? Just want to see how the animation works. Alright, that's all it does. Alright. I think Brian Comer is actually better than Dorothea now that I think about it, but it's still a pretty good rare in the blue-white Flyers deck. So next form set, I think the conflict with the next set is that the blue-white deck for Innistrad Midnight Hunt cares about creatures, whereas in this set it cares about auras. I guess it's not really that bad, since they do have some overlapping synergies. If you can disturb out a flyer, you can eventually enchant the flyer with the enchantments from Crimson Vow. So just like blue-black has some nice synergies with the whole exploit and the whole decay package, I guess blue-white has a lot of synergies with disturbed creatures and disturbed auras. So I think maybe blue-white is still going to be excellent in the next format once double feature comes out, as well as blue-black. So yeah, I think black and white are going to be great, and then blue is probably still going to be great as well. So Esper and then red and green are probably the worst two colors, but I think red is going to be pretty good in the next format if once double feature comes out as well. But maybe like due to the fact that there's too much Organ Hoarders and Disturb going on, maybe red is still going to be bad. I don't know. I think the reason why red is also just better in this format is because the disturbed creatures are auras and not necessarily creatures. Where in the last set, when you killed a disturbed creature and it brought out like a 1/1 or a 2/1 flyer, it was a lot worse. So maybe it's still, once we combine double feature, Crimson Vow, Innistrad Midnight Hunt is going to be the format that really shakes it up the most, and blue, black, and white are still going to be way better than red and green. I don't know. They definitely nerfed nerfed blue in this format pretty severely, and then they enhanced red a lot, whereas black and white are still pretty solid in this set, and green still remains got a slight buff, but still isn't that amazing. Alright, so we can lead with Lantern Bearer since it can get an attack across early, and we might want to play Nurturing Presence over Minister. We'll try it. And Nurturing Presence is better on the flyer anyway, so I think we lead with the Lantern. And then we just want to play on curve. Could always play Minister and Ceremonial Knife, but getting in for that 2 damage early is important. That way we can race against another red-white deck and put out an extra flyer. And by getting this early, we can also generate value, so yeah. So hopefully not a million large werewolves. We keep facing against red-green for some reason. Don't know what's going on. I'm definitely fine taking 2, and then we'll save Retribution for another werewolf later, since I feel like we can outrace this if we keep developing and gaining life. Alright, that's not too scary. Or I can just play Militia Rallier. Minister can deal a little bit more damage, but I feel like, again, Rallier is just a better blocker, and then just more mana efficient, so we'll deny some life for some time, and then just smash for 3. And now I can block off everything else here. So yeah, not a bad card for our deck. We can even attack with it next turn if we want to. Racketeer is fine. And then we can still play and equip, so yeah, let's play Minister. Let's play the Knife. And we're definitely going to equip a Flyer, probably the 1/1 Spirit, because this can be a bigger target, which I don't necessarily want. Just diversify the power and keep the 3/3 back. And then we have access to Fierce Retribution as well, so not a bad start. Because if I enhance this and he kills it, then I need to move the equipment around, which can get kind of awkward. So I think I'm better off enhancing this 2/1 instead. Next turn I might actually Traveling Minister on a 1/1. Double Runebound Wolf, so at least this isn't going to transform. Alright, now we can play Heron Blessed Geist and also enhance one of our flyers in attack. So I probably want to pump my Lantern Bearer, I think, or the 2/1. This is funny. If I enhance a Lantern Bearer, then I can give my creature flying next turn, so I actually want him to purposely kill the Lantern Bearer over the 2/1, as funny as it seems. Yep, I actually want him to kill this, and then, like, sure, I lose a Nurturing Presence, but I can still get in and make a Blood Token. And then I can still give the Militia Rallier flying, and then that can maybe help me kill him next turn. Since that might be enough, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so I guess we have 9 damage anyways. So if he's going to do that, I'm totally fine. We should be okay. I can't think of anything at double green which can kill me here. So probably just enhance the Militia Rallier. And then we can still attack with the Militia Rallier, given that we're attacking with more than one creature, and that should be enough to close out the game. Plus we have Fierce Retribution, which can deal with a crackback, so yeah, this is fine. I guess we can also untap the Militia Rallier and keep it as a good blocker. So Blue-White Auras, great archetype. Alright, this is a little bit awkward. Don't necessarily want Nurturing Presence on Traveling Minister, but might have to just to make a flyer. So this is going to be one of those awkward games again, where we have to Nurturing Presence on the Traveling Minister, but that's fine. We aren't looking to attack with it anyways. And by doing this, we can still crash in for 2 this turn, and then the flyer can start chipping in. And we can still gain life, so I think this is reasonable. So not another red-green deck, please. Wow, another red-green deck. Why do we have to keep facing against this? Alright, at least we have Fierce Retribution again to deal with maybe an opposing Hokan Mariner on turn 4. The opponent might keep up a removal spell. If he kills my Traveling Minister, this might slow me down, which kind of sucks, I hate to say it. But I'm hoping I can get a 3rd land to maybe Ceremonial Knife and draw some cards. I mean, get something going, so yep. Just need to play this out, I guess. Miss out on my land drops, so we might just lose here. Would have loved the land to maybe equip onto this, and then could have made a blood token to start discarding. Bramble Armor, so probably need the Fierce Retribution on anything that gets too large, so he can pump this into a 5-powered creature. Although he's much more interested in developing the board this turn. Alright, I think we maybe just play second Minister here. Funny enough, I could also just play the Administer and just offer an attack and trade. And that can deal a little bit more damage, but maybe we're more interested in gaining life. I don't know, let's just do this. And hope we can get some lands, or at least kill something. Or race them quick enough, so... Ancestor would have been great on turn 3. So we're going to take a bit of a beating. So yeah, I might need to keep up Fierce Retribution if I get a land next turn. So we're probably just going to play the land. We're probably just going to enhance this 2-power flyer, 3-power flyer, attack, and then keep up the Fierce Retribution for the Snarling Wolf, since he's now just trying to race me on the ground. So just play out a second one, or play out Ancestor, but he could be holding on to removal. So I'll play a second one here, and then Fierce Retribution to Snarling Wolf when he tries to pump again. And say go. Then maybe we can sub some good blockers next turn. So I'm hoping he actually pumps here, so then I can use Retribution. So I can punish him now, so let's do it now. Just slow him down. And then this way we can still gain some life and force him to re-equip. Weaver is a good one. Yeah, let's just pump, gain some life, and then Kindly Ancestor can help us stabilize a bit, so we don't take too much damage. Can also discard, but I do want to gain some life, so let's play Ancestor, say go, and then we can attack for 4 in the air and try to survive next turn. I think that's the game plan. So he doesn't have any decent attacks unless he equips here, which I'm fine taking. Sharpshooter, I guess that's going to trade for my flyer, but I guess that's still okay. He can't equip this unless he attaches it onto the Reclusive Taxidermist. I mean, regardless if he attacks, I could still pump my Kindly Ancestor for 4 and attack instead, and then force like maybe a chump block or just gain 4. So I actually don't mind just pumping this and attacking next turn. But he might be inclined to trade instead. So interesting. I could just gain a bunch of life and do nothing. Because I could pump an attack here. Maybe I just need to and eventually find another flyer. Yeah, I think I offer to trade. Otherwise it's going to be awkward, and I might as well keep up a counterspell in the meantime. He only has 2 creatures in their graveyard, so this doesn't transform. Yeah, I'll keep up counterspell, maybe discard a blood, or maybe I can just discard right now. And hope I get a land, since I've been missing out on land drops for almost forever. And maybe Mirror Hall Mimic goes so I can have another 2-drop to play, or Infantry. Actually, Infantry can give me an extra 2-drop, so let's do this instead. Play land, and I think I'm fine keeping up counterspell. And then we can still discard something end of turn as well, so this is fine. Creepy Puppeteer, can I counter that? Not really. So, yep, that's not something I can counter. I mean, I can still take the hit and still be fine. Take 8, I guess, and I'm still in the game. And I can still swing back for 4 and gain 4, or at least chump block. Yeah, let's take 8. If he has a pump spell, I can still counter it at the very least. It's kind of awkward. I guess I can discard infantry. Okay, I guess infantry can be discarded, and then I can maybe enhance the infantry instead. Yeah, I think we can just discard maybe the Selhoff Entomber now. But maybe we're still fine playing out a land. So now we're fine playing out land. I can enchant the infantry, pump it, and then attack for 6 lifelink, which is a lot. and then I still be alive even if the creepy puppeteer attacks me back. So I think I'm fine with this exchange. And I still should be in a pretty good spot here. And then we can still discard end of turn. And then what do we kill? Probably the Runebound Wolf, since that might force him to equip. I guess he can activate the tap ability, so I guess we're still dead almost. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Alright, let's see if we survive next turn. We're at 10. We'll say go. So he can attack me for 8. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm dead if he equips. So hopefully he doesn't see it. And if he does, then rip. Yeah, that's lethal, right? Yeah, that sucks. Alright, I mean, we did our thing, but we were missing our land drops for a lot of turns, so I guess that's how we get punished this game, this draft. I still think we keep trying with this. Yeah, let's keep trying. At the very least, we still got 1-7 win with the black-white vamp, black-red splashing Edgar Markov. But either way, this isn't the most optimal blue-white deck, so I'm still okay. Just need to make sure we hit our land drops on time, and yeah, that's it. Turn 1 Lantern Bearer, yeah, sure. Plus Heron of Hope, and we are getting our lands this game, so hopefully we can find a 2-drop. That would be amazing. Might need to keep this back for Wretched Throng, actually. Yeah, I'll keep it back for Wretched Throng. He gets another one, but that's fine. We have Ancestor to still hold it off. And this is better in the lake, better as an aura, I think, regardless, with the type of hand we have. Next turn, Heron can gain us a ton of life. Interesting attack. If I block it, then that implies he has something to finish it off with, so I think I'll take 2. Can play Dorothea instead, maybe. I'll play Heron of Hope main phase and see if he counters it. I don't really want to just play Dorothea and do nothing, and then I can attack and gain a ton of life here. So we'll see if this resolves. Okay, and it does. So he probably has a 2-mana removal spell if he decides to throw in the Wretched Throng, or maybe he just wanted to do that to prevent, to maybe draw into the second one so he doesn't draw them all day. Okay. Skyward Scob is fine. I can kill it eventually. So what do I do this turn? Probably just attack with both and then play out Heron Blessed Geist to add an extra flyer. And then once we get our 6th land, we can kill this. And then we can still keep chipping in for damage with these flyers, so we're still fine. Screaming Swarm is a problem. And this card might require us to exile it, which we don't have any. So this is a problematic card. So probably the turn now is just to develop enough flyers and take it from there. So he can put this 2nd on top of his library. That's a problem. Guess I'm fine taking... Guess I'm fine actually him milling me and attacking. Yeah, I'm actually fine with this. Has a mill our Dollhouse of Horrors, and I think we actually Fierce Retribution the 2/5 here. since he can get the 4/4 back and we don't really care about him being aggressive. So I'm surprised the opponent is attacking here because we're dealing a lot more damage on the way back. And we're also gaining life, so I'm not sure what's up, but I'm actually happy that the opponent is attacking here. Lantern Bearer, okay. So Lantern Bearer can block the 4/4 and force me to sacrifice it. So maybe we don't attack with it. Maybe just enhance the Heron of Hope, and then guess we can still copy the Screaming Swarm. Dorothea is a little bit awkward. I don't think I'm attacking with it. I'm fine sending these 3 in, however. An interesting chump. So he probably has something to finish off my Heron, I have to imagine. So I'm fine ordering it like this. Move the damage. So I won't be able to gain life even if this connects. So that's what he had all along, funny enough. Alright, sure. Fair enough. We still get to crash in for 3. And then I think I'm going to Mirror Hall Mimic the Screaming Swarm. And if it trades off, I can just keep copying it. I think this is a fine. And hope he doesn't have a counterspell. I guess if he has a counterspell, I can still pay for it, so that's okay. And we should be able to take over this game even if he keeps bringing back Screaming Swarm. We can just enchant and keep going off. I don't mind him actually milling me. Yeah, I'll take 4. Surprised the opponent thinks he can win the game by having me get milled. I think I just attack here. I guess I can sacrifice Dorothea now, honestly. I don't really mind. Yeah, let's just attack. And then I actually don't mind milling myself or milling the opponent. He could have some... It doesn't seem like he has any disturb cards, so just in case he ends up decking me. Oh, never mind. I just gave him some stuff. So maybe that wasn't really what I wanted to do. Okay, so kind of getting punished there. But maybe we can just go wide enough to kill the opponent. So maybe I shouldn't have milled him because now I gave him some ways to get flyers back. But I think we're just going wide enough, we should be okay. And I'm also fine just giving this lifelink for now since he milled my Dollhouse of Horrors. And I'm probably fine playing a land. So game plan might just to be, again, go wide. And if he enhances this again, it's going to be a little bit difficult to block. But maybe that's still okay. I can play Dorothea and attack. If he blocks here, then we're still good. So, yeah, let's actually play Dorothea on the Lantern Bearer, forcing him to maybe block into it. So I enhance this Dorothea, he blocks, and then blocks here. I guess I want to enhance the Screaming Swarm, potentially, or... I mean, either way, he's still going to have a good block. So let's think. So this 4/5 is still going to block very well, so I'm not sure here. So this blocks here, this might block here. We still get in for lethal, I have to imagine. So by pumping this, it makes it more likely he blocks it. And then it's still lethal, so... yeah, let's just attack, we should be fine. Let's just keep milling him, I don't care. Gets a Gutter Skulker. So if even if he blocks my highest powered creatures, he's dead here, so... by enhancing the Lantern Bearer, it's correct. Since if he doesn't block the Lantern Bearer, he's still going to take 5, so yeah, we got him. Good games. Surprised the opponent also just didn't mill himself because he had a lot of value in the graveyard. So I have no idea why he decided to mill me, but she didn't get punished too much for milling me since I didn't really get too much auras out of the deal, and she milled my Dollhouse of Horror, which was going to help me win the game. Anyway, so yeah. Lantern Bearers, okay, seems good. Into Dorothea, alright. I mean, if Dorothea dies and becomes an aura we can enchant on turn 3, we can crack in for a ton of damage. Assuming the opponent doesn't have a ton of interaction. Yeah, let's just attack. And I actually don't mind trading Dorothea for Parish Blade Trainee, just so he doesn't get these training creatures online immediately. So I actually don't mind this attacking. Or maybe I can just race him in the air. Yeah, let's just block this so he doesn't train. And I guess now I can enhance my Lantern Bearer and then make a Dorothea every single turn. Alright, that's not bad. Let's just do it now. Just to be mana efficient, and then this is a must-kill threat, and then once it dies, it's also just an aura. So yeah, just gotta believe. Otherwise, it would have been awkward if I didn't block. Brian Comer, alright. Sure, I guess my 1-1 is now dead. Guys, yeah, let's just attack. I don't mind losing this. I still get a crash in for 4, which is a lot, and I do need to race this opponent. So let's just do this. Crash in for 4, Dorothea's dead. But then I get to play a Lantern Bearer, and I can also enhance my own Lantern Bearer just to make it into a 2-2. Which isn't a bad idea, just so I can outrace him. And then can also block the 1-1. Can also trade for the 3-2. Oops. Well. I think I don't regret that decision. Alright. Hope he doesn't have a way to enhance Brian Comer. Or a way to deal with my Harem Blessed Geist. Thirst, so probably gonna find an answer eventually. Alright, so opponent has more card advantage. He answered most of my threats, so just need to find a way to stabilize against this. Brian Comer is just too good because if he enhances it, he makes a flyer that can chump block, and then if it dies, it also just makes a flyer. So not liking the look of this. Might need to save Fierce Retribution for the Resistance Squad. If the opponent plays a flyer and just attacks and trains, I can just kill it next turn, so probably fine taking 3, since I don't have any auras to go along with the Harem Blessed Geist. So I think, funny enough, we need to just take this and hope for the best. And then I think I attack, and if he has a trick, I can still Retribution for 6, so if I'm playing land main phase. Alright. Minister. And then maybe Fierce Retribution on the Griff Rider to slow him down. Don't think I'm trading for Brian Comer. And hope this resolves. Alright, don't think I'm blocking the Comer. I could, but then he just makes another 1-1, so it doesn't really accomplish much. I just need to hope I get a good top deck here. But opponent just plays Cemetery Protector and just makes a bunch of 1-1s all day. So anytime he plays a creature now, he can just, or a land or anything, he can just make 1-1. So we're probably just dead here. Yep. It's game over. Yep, not much I can do. Can't deal with these shenanigans. Alright, 4 and 2, not the best result, but still, got a nice 7 wins for the first draft, and I'm probably going to record another video after this, but yeah, wish I had my own Brian Comer, or maybe some more top end, and the deck would have been a lot better, and yeah, that opponent just had a better deck, so not much I can do about it. I guess we can even do a quick draft. I'm not sure if I can play it in less than like 40 minutes, so I'm just going to claim the prize here. And then we're just going to maybe conclude this video and maybe do a quick draft in the next video. or not, because the quick drafts do like rotate, and there's a different format every single time, and it still seems kind of redundant if I want to do quick draft Crimson Vow. So let's just crack our packs. And I guess we collected most of the rares and mythics since now they're rewarding us for gems. Yeah, a Markov Purifier is probably the best card in this pack over maybe, not much. Maybe the rare mythic is better, but who knows. And yeah, we're getting rewarded, so collected the entire set by now. Bleed Dry is the best card in this pack. If this wasn't his pack, I would maybe take Infantry over Lumberknots as a good aura creature in the blue-white deck and just a good 2-drop in any white deck in general. Again, I've talked about black-green. It's not impossible, but I don't want to really go into it early. Flourishing Hunter, but maybe Heron of Hope. Heron of Hope is probably just better than Flourishing Hunter, and definitely one of the best white commons. I would maybe even take Heron over Imprisonment at this point in the set. Not sure about Fierce Retribution, maybe, but the Heron is just so powerful if you pick up Traveling Ministers later. It almost just becomes impossible to race against the Heron. So, Heron over Flourishing Hunter. And more gems. Alright, nothing great in this pack outside of maybe Retribution for the Red-Black Vampires deck. That being said, Ceremonial Knife is okay. We did play one in the last draft, but even then it was kind of slow. I mean, I guess we were playing 16 lands, but overall, I think this card was overrated at the beginning of the set. It's still fine if you need access to blood, but overall, I still think it's kind of overrated, and I'd rather just have Wedding Invitations over this as the best colorless common. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Probably going to make a third video here just to maybe conclude Premier Draft Crimson Vow and move on to double feature or Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. So thank you guys for watching and hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.